Well, I just want to thank Gary Bolter from the Outcast Creative Down Under for turning my face into a fruit machine on that intro. Next time I should probably watch it before you send it to me, Gary. But thanks very much for redoing that for me. Okay, so this is the first, it's not the first episode, but this is the first episode of the Nielsen Ratings. As my surname is Nielsen, it took me a really long time to come up with that title. Basically on this show, which is going to be in this spot every week, unless I have a work commitment, which on 10 p.m. on a Tuesday is fairly unlikely. I'm going to be doing it won't be on every week because I won't always have stuff to say, but most weeks, sometimes bi-weekly spot. And I'm going to have a fairly regular co-host and a number of regular guests. No doubt the Potato King himself, aka actor Michael Cera, will get him on at some point. Good to see the Walking Sasquatch in the chat. Darth Plato, my friend who is interested in all things historical. We're going to be talking about a number of TV shows and films that me and my guests have watched in recent times, as well as just kind of, spouting the crap on other things. So let me bring in my amazing A-team. Because we got a good foursome lined up tonight, and that sounded ruder than I intended. So before we go down that rabbit hole, let's add Stupenzo,
How you
the
doing,
man
lads?
with the quiff. How are you, sir?
Good to be here.
I seem to recall last time you were online, your background was somewhat different.
I am in my girlfriend's house. I'm out of town, so
that
I'm not
explains
broadcasting from the man cave.
That explains the portrait of Legolas in the background
Yes.
to the right there.
It's a very large painting. Don't be fooled by the perspective.
No, it looks pretty big from here. Fantastic. So first of all, I just want to extend my thanks for you to offering to be my regular co-host. I know you won't be on every week, but it's going to be great doing this. Yeah, it's going to be great doing this with you, and because you're stupendous. Then that it's in the name. I needed no other recommendation.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic.
It's an honor to be considered.
As we're going to be talking about Napoleon tonight, it was essential to have the man who auditioned for the part but didn't get the role, uninspired reviewer.
Is that
the A-team? Is that the A-team?
Yes, of course.
Okay. It's good that you hummed it so we don't get flagged for copyright.
I mean, my humming might be so good, we might get flagged.
Yeah, that's one of my goals, to sing something a cappella so well that it gets a flag. It's like, you sample the song. Like, whoa.
Getting a Viva la France, I think that's for you.
Vive la République, vive la France.
How do you pronounce it as French as possible? Vive la France! Right?
Vive la France.
Vive la France.
But thanks for having me on, Lance.
Oh, no. Sorry, yeah, go on. Thank you. You're very welcome, man.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna try and get you on as many of these as we can, because it's one of the few windows between your 19 streams per week that you're actually available. And normally you have a stream to do after this, so this will be like your warm-up stream,
basically.
Yeah. Or we'll just drain the energy out of you completely, and you'll be a vegetable on the next one. We'll see which works best. Last but by no means least, we have no relation to the late great Rick Mail. Northern Bastard is in the house.
Thank you for having me on. Evening all.
That's great. I understand, like me, you're also fighting off the lurgy.
Yeah, a little bit.
We all got it. It went around the entire world.
So as I'm outside, I'm all right. It's in here, that's when it starts to play up a bit.
When you're in the warm, that's when you get sick. Okay, fantastic. James Woolard is looking forward to watching Napoleon next week. Well, you may change your mind after you hear what we have to
set
say,
your expectations very low, or just go in with no expectations at all. That's the best way to watch it.
Yeah. If you hate it, watch Waterloo after. It's
I would say watch Waterloo before,
True.
and then have your expectations well and truly dashed. Because at least you'll have Waterloo is very, very accurate in terms of the layout of the battlefield, the way the battle played out, the order of the battle, the key strategic locations. So I definitely would say watch that first. And there's a really good version of it on YouTube, quite a high res version that you can watch for free. And Rod Steiger but it's in an epic performance as Napoleon. Christopher Plummer's really good as Wellington. There's a whole load of other big names in there in small parts. Ian Ogilvy, Jack Hawkins, and so on. But yeah, it's a good. Has everyone seen Waterloo on the stream here?
Yes,
No.
I have.
Like, did your dad insist you watch that one? Uninspired.
No, actually, I watched it on my own accord, and then I forced my dad to watch it.
Ah, fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's
Well,
always
fun
good
fact,
when
Austin, Texas used to be called Waterloo, Texas. That's why there's like Waterloo Records and all these Waterloo things everywhere.
Did they change it because they found out the Waterloo was a huge loss for
No, we
Napoleon?
changed it because we named it after Stephen F. Austin, who was a goddamn hero, right? Fight for the Alamo.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Steve Austin, as in the Bionic Man, who
No,
definitely was a childhood hero of mine. Well, okay, hang on. Let me put the the little banner up here because I nearly forgot. Boom, there we go. Fantastic. Well, we're going to talk about a couple of different things, but I think we might as well jump into Napoleon first. Now, before we do that, and I guess so we don't go too many down rabbit holes, I'll throw out a question and I'll let each of my guests answer it in turn. But before we go down, that little announcement to make. So if you've watched my industry interviews, about 6 months ago, I interviewed a man called Paul Biddis. Paul Biddis is a military advisor. He's not a historical consultant. I mean, he knows his history, but he's not someone who's going to come and tell you, no, actually, they did this on that day. He is about military formations. So he is a historical military advisor, how people marched back then, how they handled their weapons, what type of weaponry, etc., etc., etc. So Paul Biddis was the military advisor on Napoleon. He was also the military advisor on 1917, which I extensively interviewed about him. He's an ex-paratrooper. Really nice man. Got a lot of time for him. He runs a company. It's like the European equivalent of Dale Dye's company, where they supply a whole load of guys as extras. A lot of them are ex-military. He's got a core unit, and then what he'll do is he'll take on a lot of other people that are physically fit to do the rest of the extras. So he recently did an interview in the Guardian newspaper. I don't know whether Stupenzo, you could have a quick Google for that. We might put it up on the screen, but it's Paul Biddis is spelt with two Biddis and Guardian article Napoleon. You'll probably find it. And they kind of gaslit him. They misquoted him and took something he said out of context, and just to get like a flash headline.
Yeah, is it called "Critics of Napoleon Epic Have Fallen for Emperor's Fibs"? Says
that's probably it. Have you? Can you put the link?
Yeah.
Whack it up in chat or private chat, and I'll repost it, whichever.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
He's pretty upset. He's pretty upset about this. He reached out to me and he said, "Lance, I know you wanted to do another interview with me. It'd be great if I could come on and talk about some of the Napoleon stuff and clear it up." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a cool idea." But then I thought about it, and even though this would be great for my channel and everything, I said, look, you probably want the widest audience possible for this, right? So why don't I have a chat with a friend of mine? And I think we're going to do this on Drinker's channel next Tuesday.
Nice.
Awesome. We just need to do a couple of things. Oh, sorry, hang on. I just had adverts firing off at me. Excuse me. Yeah,
I'm sharing the screen too. I got ad block on.
Yeah, I forgot to put it on the. I just was getting the link that you. So there's the link to the interview. You can have a look at it. But he specifically told the Guardian, "I'm not the historical advisor on the film. I'm the military historical advisor." That's the only stuff he covers. He doesn't cover what was in Josephine's letters or any of that material. So reactions to the movie have been mixed. We'll have a look at some of them on IMDb in a second. Paul Biddis said to me, and this is what he said, the film is really the trailer for the main film. So if you've been to the cinema to see Napoleon, you've seen a 3-hour trailer for the 4.5-hour movie that's about to come. apparently. So I can't wait for the 4.5-hour version. Sorry, I do have a chest infection. I wasn't coughing on purpose.
Redeem itself, or is it just going to be more bloated and convoluted?
I don't know.
I hope it's more. I hope it's more balanced. I really do, because that was. We'll get more into the film, but it was really not balanced. A balanced view on a historical figure.
And he also said that there were several battle scenes that they shot that are not even in the movie. He's hoping that some of those will be in the 4.5. Yeah, they shot They shot 2 other battle scenes that are not in the film. And there's a load of other stuff he wants to comment on. Just gonna say hi to a few people in the chat. Oh, Melvin's saying that link doesn't work for him. Just Google Paul Biddis and Guardian newspaper, and it will come up. Jacob Ironside is here.
Hey,
Vive la
Jacob.
France.
Vive la France. Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Positive Phantom is here. Good to see you. David Macy, who works in the film industry, is in the chat. And there's a few others watching as well. Guys, if you're a fan of the channel, if you're one of my supporters, could you please do a little post and share the stream right now? I even forgot to tag all my guests in my stream. I'm so crap with social media. It's terrible. Whitey Bear asked the question, are you not entertained? So I think as we have a French guest in the house, I'm gonna turn to. Did you go and sit with your dad? Was that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so without going through the whole film, what I want to know from each of my guests first was, in a short summation, what was your immediate reaction when you came out the cinema?
It was a comedy for me and for my dad as well. We were laughing.
I thought the same.
Yeah, we were laughing throughout the entire film, and when we stepped out, me and him, we just looked at each other, and as we were walking out of the hall, we just kept laughing again, and we were like, "Yeah, he just did." Ridley Scott just made a comedy, and they told him to turn it into a historical epic. That was both of our sentiments. Which, I mean, we didn't really expect anything, so I'll make it clear. I didn't expect a historical epic. I didn't expect a biographical type of film, kind of like Oppenheimer. I didn't expect it to be deep in any way, shape, or form. I went in completely blank slate, and based on what was shown, that's how I left the cinema.
Okay, all right, interesting. Northern Bastard.
Yeah, I agree with Inspired. I was laughing my ass off nearly in some of the scenes. There's one where he goes, "You think you're so big because you got more boats," and I was like, it was so fucking over the top. I was expecting one of the guys from Riff Tracks to fucking pop up and say a one-liner after it. It was so over the top.
I mean, in addition to you feeling it was a comedy, did you have any other feelings immediately upon leaving the screen?
Well, yeah, it's like it just simplified a really complicated character, because from what I'm hearing from historians, he was a very complex guy, and he was very charismatic, and he did win the respect of his soldiers. And I expected to see a film about a general, strategizing, trying to outthink his enemy, outmaneuver his enemy, all that. But instead, we just got an insecure man baby constantly being belittled by his wife.
Apparently, all those types of scenes with the strategy between the various generals and all that kind of stuff, apparently all of that's in there.
Yeah, just not enough.
Mate, I noticed that, ripped off the ending of Godfather 3. Yeah, I spotted that. I wasn't sure that was the best way to go. Stupenzo's about to break into song with Regret Rien.
I definitely...
Mate,
I mean, I didn't like it, but I wasn't laughing. I was just, but the thing again, I wasn't very betrayed. Like, it's not like Ridley Scott. I think Ridley Scott has been kind of on a downward spiral since Gladiator. All of his movies tend to be largely forgetful, punctuated by a few scenes that seem to stick in your head. Like, I hate to sound like a big dummy who only likes explosions in my movies, but I think the only part of the movies I really remember are like the horses getting exploded and people getting killed with cannonballs, and then a lot of crying in letters. from Napoleon. Why don't you love me?
Yeah,
It was
that's what I
strange.
mean. That's what I mean. The last
And-
the last half hour was actually all right because we actually
Yeah.
saw him be a bit more of a general.
Kind of
but
reminds me of
okay,
little too
don't
late.
jump topics. I'm going to do positives in
Yeah.
a sec.
But I was gonna
sec.
say it kind of reminds me of the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. As a huge fan of Freddie Mercury, it's just like you should guys just watch the BBC documentary with like reenactment scenes. It's called
Yeah, I've seen it. It's good. It's good.
what's
It's good.
it called? Who Wants to
documentary.
Live Forever or something
Yeah.
like that. It's amazing. And I feel like there's probably a BBC reenactment documentary of Napoleon's life that's far superior to this. You should probably just watch that if you're really interested in Napoleon.
Well, there's a really good French miniseries. It was originally all on YouTube. I think it's either 4 or 6 parts, and they didn't quite have the budget to do the battle scenes. You know, it's like Waterloo with a couple of hundred guys as opposed to 500-600, however many they had on this. But that's a good biopic of Napoleon. I really enjoyed it. I kind of felt like, hey, can we just edit in the Waterloo movie here and then cut back to this actor? But you know, it wasn't. It's a good effort. So that version is definitely worth seeing. You've got Waterloo with Rod Steiger, of course, and you've got War and Peace, which covers a lot of this era. Okay, so my view was look, I had big expectations for this movie because it had a huge budget. I'm a filmmaker myself. That's the kind of budget that I only dream of. I have actually met Ridley Scott. Wouldn't let me have my picture taken with him, which was really annoying. Doesn't like having his photo taken. I do like some of his lesser known films. I mean, I really enjoyed The Martian. I've got the Blu-rays on the shelf behind me.
I'm with you, Lance. I think The Martian is a pretty underappreciated.
Yeah, that
film.
was
I think The Martian is the one film that he has done since Gladiator that is better than the rest.
And you know why that movie's really good, because the script is all in the book.
Yep.
You know, it didn't have major rewrites all the way through. Gladiator, as we were saying last night on Canoli's channel, started filming with a 36-page script. And they did not have a completed story. It had massive rewrites halfway through filming. You know, I mean, I feel like Russell Crowe probably should have got a screenwriter's credit. But my gut reaction when I came out was, damn, what was that? And I was like, this edit of the film, who is this for? Because it's not gonna please historians. It's not gripping or dramatic enough to enthrall a mainstream audience. It's the action is too emotionally detracted for it to stand on the action alone. The stakes are not there. They're there at the beginning, but I just all those crucial dialogue scenes with the generals arguing with Napoleon over different strategies and the implications of things like Quatre Bras before Waterloo and all of that stuff was missing for me. We'll come on to things that we like about the film in a sec, because I don't want this to just be a massive Debbie Downer, because the film has got some things to recommend it. But and then of course there's the question of the 4-hour cut. But my immediate reaction was, and I went with a friend, and I mean we were laughing in the wrong places. 6 people left the cinema and didn't come back.
That's a lot, actually.
That is a lot.
Was it a packed room, or was it
Around what time
packed?
did they walk out? Like how long into the movie did they decide to bail?
They 3 of them went during one of the Josephine. You know the scene where he pretends to be the pig under the table.
Oh god!
3 of them went during that scene, and a couple of them left during one of the battle scenes actually, and then one like a bit later. They'd all gone within like 90 minutes to 2 hours, something like that. So and I mean people were wincing in the cinema. Everyone was wincing.
Yep.
And I sort of walked into the men's room for my obligatory wee after a 3-hour movie, after the movie, and I just couldn't help but saying, well, that was a massive disappointment. And you know, everybody kind of went, you know, as they do, urinal conversations. Yeah. So, but I do want to focus on some positives. Positive fandom. I won't be able to erase the jackhammer sex scene from my memory.
Yeah.
Now, look in the 4-hour cut. In the 4-hour cut, that scene's 45 minutes long. So I just got to
Probably more raunchy.
It's I mean, like, to just to expound on the fact that I came out thinking it was a comedy, and the jackhammer scenes, it's the way that they were cut as well into the main story that made them incredibly comedic, which is just you don't even expect anything. It's so weird, but we'll get more into it.
Yeah. But also to
Even
expand
as
on
a-
what Lance was saying with like there's no costs. Like every person and animal that gets killed is some rando.
Yep.
You know, and then like the person that does die that's important, it happens off screen and you find out about it like after you're like, oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
because this movie is not called Napoleon and Josephine. There's
Yeah.
already been another film done with that title. Jacqueline Bisset played Josephine, and it's basically this film without the battles. What we got here was that film wedged together with almost like a pseudo documentary narrative of, by the way, here's a few milestones.
Yeah.
But there weren't enough. See, I thought the scenes with Wellington were great. He was amazing. Remind me of the name of the actor.
Is that Rupert Everett?
Rupert Everett. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was him.
He was really good. He was loving the role. I wanted more scenes with him. I wanted more, you know, like when we had there's the thing. Oh, by the way, the King of Prussia, the young guy, he's betrayed you.
Yes.
Well, can't we see a scene with that? You know, I'd like to see that scene. I'd like to see the scene with the Prussian guy. I know it's Napoleon's story, but even so, we need context for some of the stuff that's going on around him, as well as the relationship. And I just didn't feel there was enough context for the stakes with the battles. Most of the battles got one dialogue scene, if that, to give them context.
Well,
thing with
yeah, and to just bounce back on what you said about the relationships, is the fact that the film tries to focus on mainly on Napoleon and Josephine's relationship, but that one, even though it's a huge chunk of the movie, you have no connection to both of the characters or their relationship whatsoever, which
Mhm.
is a complete misfire, because if you choose to focus on one main relationship while leaving all the others, then at least make it worthwhile, you know? And the fact that they didn't makes everything else fall down also, and it just doesn't work. Everything falls flat most of the time. I do agree with you. It's saved a bit by the battle scenes. That's where you can tell the film's budget, but even then you don't really connect with anything in the battle scenes. You're just watching it to watch, to enjoy what you're seeing on screen visually. That was it.
It's just to break up the monotony, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would just put a fucking cannonball blowing up a horse in this scene here, and a bunch of people get mowed down by cannonballs here. And
Once you've seen this film, you will never want the Blu-ray. That's what her line should have been when she opened her legs. All right. Well, look, let's talk about the positives, because let's try and pick out one each. I'm going to talk about the production design, the costumes in particular. I think were first rate. This is a good photograph to illustrate that. You know, the men looked right, the costumes looked right. I am a bit of a historian, but World War II Western Front is my bag. I'm not an expert in I have an interest in the Napoleonic era, but I'm not an expert. But taking into account that this is a fictional interpretation of this guy's story, I was quite happy that everything looked as accurate as it needed to feel for me. You know, Wellington's costume with the particular emblem on there, the British, etc. Everything looked correct. The cannons looked correct. The weapons looked correct, and so on. So the production design, the use of the sets in Malta and things like that, for me, all of that stuff was on the money, was good. And I have to say, for the first 20 minutes, you know, when the horse got shot out from under him, the horse's chest got blown out. The film looked really good, and we were into a fairly interesting narrative. For the first 20 minutes, I was pretty engaged, and I thought, this is going to be good. This is good so far. Yeah. Well,
no, I totally agree with you. I think that the first 20 minutes are very how would I say, they grip you, because
Yeah.
it's something that you never think when you watch the trailer. I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Napoleon received a red band trailer. I'm not sure, but just to see the amount of violence already from when you see Marie Antoinette get guillotined, you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is going to be pretty violent. This is going to be worse, like better than Gladiator in terms of violence, and it
Yeah.
may be Ridley Scott's best film. And then progressively it just trickles down after those first establishing 20 minutes.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of the violence was cut. And I mean, for a Napoleonic film, dude, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember one shot of anyone getting bayoneted in the stomach in the
No.
entire movie. And I mean, I expect to see that in a Napoleonic film where a lot of people have got a lot of bayonets attached to their rifles and there's a lot of bayonet charges, you know.
Yeah, because it was all charging back then, wasn't it? I mean, it
Well,
wasn't like today where you have to keep cover. In
No,
those days, you ran right at the enemy.
they
you
would
ran right
fire.
at
They
them.
would fire in the lines, two ranks, sometimes three ranks, and then eventually one
Yeah.
side would charge and try and break the line. You know, that was kind of the tactic. And yeah, well, but yeah, okay. So your positive Northern Bastard, sorry, uninspired review. I'm sorry, was that the first 20 minutes fairly engaging, good start to the show. Stupenzo, you got on anything positive from the movie to?
Yeah, like you said, the casting spot on. It was cool
Costum's
seeing a
good.
bunch of old familiar faces in the British ranks and stuff. I'm like, I know this guy. Like, who's this actor? I've seen him before. The guy who we were just looking at before you moved to sled.
Yeah, that's Rupert Everett.
Right, there you go. I was like,
Yep.
this is the dude from Dunstan Checks In. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. He
Yeah.
also did that comedy with Madonna. You would never guess that this guy would be picked to play
Love it.
Wellington, but he does have the nose because Wellington's nickname was Nosy.
There you go.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's what the men called him. They called him Nosy.
I mean, I do appreciate Ridley Scott's knack for constantly taking a different angle, but like this is obviously a misfire. No pun intended, but like he's never going to tell the story straight out. He's always got to think of an angle.
Yeah, but there's a proper way to do it.
Right.
Ridley Scott just, I don't know, he just says it.
A
He
for
just
effort,
does
I
it the
guess,
way
you
he
know?
wants to do it. He
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
take into consideration the audience.
Ridley Scott was saying, like, I would never, they'd never have me direct a Star Wars or a Marvel movie because I would tell the producers, go to hell. I'm doing it my way, which is in this case the wrong way, but still it's his way. He's going to do it his way.
Listen, I'd be quite happy for Ridley Scott to direct a Star Wars movie. I'm not even going to watch any more Marvel films because
Kathleen Kennedy wanted that, I don't think.
But no, yeah, okay. So your positive in essence is,
yeah, it looked great cinematography, great casting, great costumes.
Did you like Vanessa Kirby's performance, and did you enjoy Joaquin?
She's like one of these newer actresses that's like you realize you've seen her in a bunch of stuff, and was she also? She's not
in
the
The Crown. She's in The Crown.
Yeah,
that was one of her breakthrough roles.
Guardians of the Galaxy. She's that gold lady, right?
Yeah,
on the acting chops, I think she's on the acting chops. Her and Rupert Everett for me steal the film.
Yes,
I personally think that Joaquin Phoenix was misdirected in his scenes. And by the way, a quote from him 1 week before filming was, "I don't know what I'm doing with this part."
Damn.
And he had the same panic attack on Gladiator. He actually tried to get out of Gladiator. He offered to pay for his own flight home. He said, "Look, I've made a terrible mistake. I'm not right for this part." And how they got around that was Russell Crowe and Richard Harris took him out drinking, got him drunk, and they shot one of his scenes the next day. Really just said, "Look, just stay for 1 day of filming." And after he'd done his first couple of scenes, he was okay. He was only 24 when he shot Gladiator. But I don't know. I just feel like the flip between whining boy who was at her whim to confident strategist who has charisma over men, we didn't see enough of the reason for his charisma. I felt like he should have had a Braveheart speech at some point, even if he didn't do that in real life. This is a movie.
He's similar to Commodus in Gladiator. That's what got me. He seemed very most similar to Commodus.
Yeah, it could be Commodus. This could be Commodus the General, couldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
he's playing it just exactly the same, and I think that's what put me off a little bit because he's good in Gladiator, but this no.
He also never
Yeah.
really had like a big like outburst or a big like emotional.
Well, he had
moment.
one outburst. I think
He
it
kind of
was
like slapped a letter on a table, and that was it. you know?
Yeah, and it was when he arrived home and Josephine wasn't home after coming back from Egypt. I don't and he was talking
Yeah.
to one of the women in the house, and he threw the glass at her with the wine. That was one
Yeah.
of the only notable outbursts. But otherwise, I agree with Lance. I don't think that it's a poor performance. I think it's poor direction because
It's pretty
Yeah.
well,
wooden.
Lance, we were
performance.
talking on the phone the other time, and even the scene where his hat falls off that you were mentioning, you can
Yeah.
tell that like it's just a gag that they left in the film. That's what you told me, and it's like you
Yeah.
can clearly see it. So you don't know
I mean-
which takes were actually just Joaquin gagging around and not being fully into character, and which ones were him trying to actually portray something.
Yeah, I don't know 100% that was a gaff, but look, I'm a director. I've been on a lot of sets as a second unit as well, and I saw that, and me and the guy I was with, Gonzalo, who's from Portugal, so Napoleonic origins, said to me that looked like a gaff, and I said, yeah, it was. You can tell that his hat was not supposed to come off at that time. Joaquin Phoenix went, "Oh, I'll do a playful thing. I'll put it on her head." And I can see the set. Ridley went, "Oh, that's great. That's really natural. That's playful. Let's keep that in." But the problem is, it looked like a mistake.
Yes.
And people winced at that moment at the scene, and they were like, "Oh, what's going on here?" That really undermined. Is a little thing, but it undermined the movie quite a bit. But Northern Bastard, you haven't said one of the many things that you did like about the film. Do you have one?
Yeah, well, they've already mentioned the battle scenes. They're great. The cinematography is great. But I do like the acting. The acting is fucking brilliant. I mean, Vanessa Kirby is a really good actress, and she seems to be really kicking ass at the moment. She's actually becoming a favourite of mine right now. And
yeah, I listen. I rate Vanessa Kirby. I think she's amazing, just generally.
Yeah, because she got Vanessa Redgrave's mannerisms right in there, Mission Impossible, because she was playing that character's daughter, wasn't she? And yeah, but and Joaquin Phoenix, even though he does he's given a very bad script or bad direction, he's really giving it all though. He's always giving 100%, no matter what, and there's no denying that, even if it is a bad film.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he did throw himself into the role. You can tell he's. I think it's a performance that he's given his all, but it's not imbued with confidence. It lacks direction. That's my view.
Totally.
But
It's directionless, and it's like the only time you see him properly shine is in the last, I think it's, let's say, 25 to 30 minutes, I'd say.
I agree.
When they start the entire Waterloo sequence. Once that starts, I feel like that's where the film in general just shines. And
when he gets the
everyone
terrible
is good.
news about his betrothed, his love.
Yes.
That's where he starts acting
yeah.
a little bit.
But there's it's a bit late in a 3-hour movie to become emotionally invested in the last 30 minutes.
Yep.
But like I said, I was remembering like after that scene, like it's moving on, and I was like, wait a minute, who died? That main chick? She's dead? Is that really? Can we rewind that? Go back a little bit? I wasn't paying attention. I was like,
Okay, we've got a bit of a debate going on in the chat over whether Napoleon was a psychopath.
Oh my God.
David Macy says he was. Darth Plato says he wasn't. Guys, I have a special prepared answer for this that comes from the man himself. Were you there, Ridley Scott? So
he said that, no.
You don't know whether he was a psychopath or not. Neither of you were there. You can go on the historians, but they're all reading papers that were written by somebody else that may have been rewritten in favor of one person or another. So I don't think anybody can truly assert whether he. I mean,
I got to admit, I kept seeing like ends in the chat in my peripheral vision. It took me a while to realize they're talking about Napoleon. I was like, oh my God.
I was like, what the hell? Please clarify that. Darth Vader points out that she actually died a full year before her Napoleon's return to Paris, but there was no internet back then, so her Facebook page had not updated in her passing. So yeah, I know you've seen that quote. All right, so well, we kind of talked about some positives and straying into things that have irked us
Another
a bit.
thing I liked that was kind of funny and cute was how Napoleon's always wearing his outfit. Like 95% of the movie. That was pretty funny with his hat and everything.
There's a couple of variations of it as well. I think we'll go through a few more pictures, but I seem to recall there were a couple of different versions. I found
it changes whenever he gets higher in rank. That's when they change it. And since the movie covers everything pretty quickly, that's why it changes a fair amount throughout the movie.
So, uninspired reviewer, this is your cameo in the movie.
Oh,
having not got the Napoleon part. And if you look in the background there, guys, there's the ghost of the actor Emmett Walsh playing an extra on the right. You might remember him.
I thought that was me on the right.
Well, no, that's you on the left. That's
Corn cob pipe. Ooh.
Gritting your teeth and looking like Michael Palin.
Slim down a bit.
I liked all the stuff in the court. I think all of that stuff was good. This scene was good on board the ship.
Well shot as well. God, look at that.
The guy on the left looks like a Muppet.
But it was
Waterloo.
It was a good scene. Talking of Muppets, check out my new avatar.
Oh, I know, I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd watch it.
That reminds me, uninspired. Let us not forget to advertise at the end of this stream our special Napoleon review that we've got coming up.
All right, sure. I'll remind you at the end.
Yeah.
How much more successful do you think that this exact same movie, exact same script, exact same style would have been if it was all with Muppets? The Muppets.
Way more successful.
Think about that.
Yeah.
How much directed by Ridley Scott also.
I think that could have actually been a really good movie. I'm going to put my quids in now to say that it would only have worked with. Let me take this down for a sec.
Only Kermit simping over Miss Piggy the whole movie, and we would all be calling this movie brilliant. Dude, like, this is amazing.
It's funny you should say that, but this is taken from her audition for the part. Ridley liked the dress. He liked the fact that she'd slimmed down for the role.
We're the ones in the chat.
She could get in the corset.
Let's see those ones.
Some of the other Muppets turned up. Yeah. This is great. You can find these stills online. And when I saw the Napoleon Kermit, I thought, that's got to be.
I actually think it would have made a big profit if it was a Muppets movie, especially if they went actually R-rated Muppets movie with Napoleon, directed by Ridley Scott. People,
you're gonna have Kermit the Frog.
Piggy getting old. No,
dude. You're gonna have Kermit the Frog banging away in that sort of. That's not a scene I want to see. That's like Meet the Feebles. All right, let's get back onto serious topic here. I mean, there are impressive things in terms of like some of the military tactics and stuff like that are good. I want to add a couple of things that Mr. Biddis mentioned to me. Apple TV, who funded this, kept a really strong reign over the film, and Scott wanted to do 2 films, which I think would have been a really good idea. First movie about his successes, second movie essentially about his defeats and
his downfall
and his downfall. And I think 2.5 hour movies, 5 hour sort of mega pick, director's cut 9 hours, whatever. But I think that would have been really good, and Apple said no, and I think that was a mistake because Dune 2 is going to make a ton of money.
Well, I think it comes from the fact that so how much was Napoleon? 300 million, I guess. This one.
I'll check in a sec. Chat will probably know, but I'll go on uninspired though.
But so I mean, it depends on the amount that they spent on this one, because I do think that they could have made it in a 2-parter, but by then I'm not sure that Apple would have wanted it to be released in cinemas if they switched to a 2-parter. They'd probably make him do a miniseries or something like that. They'd probably tell him to just change the format completely if they agreed to do a two-parter movie. But I do think that the two-parter would have worked because it's great to have that contrast of seeing someone completely descend into madness and completely just lose himself. Because I think that Napoleon is actually a complex character that they never managed to capture his full complexity in this one.
I know. I said
But
that in a review. Yeah, they
yeah,
simplified him way too much,
he
Yeah.
is. It's
and not
just
in a good way either.
he's just like he's just a man who loves his wife, who loves his cheating wife, and then after that he's in love. Like he has mommy issues, I guess, because they try and bring that up a bit. And yeah, they basically humiliate him whenever he's not on the battlefield, which
Yeah, and I
sweet.
wanted to see, and maybe we'll get this in the longer cut. And Paul has told me a couple of other things which I'll impart with you, and hopefully you'll get to hear more about it on Tuesday. But I wanted to see the discussions about the strategy. Like I wanted to see
Yes,
I
the
don't just want to
tactician.
see a scene with him in a tent waiting for the rain to stop. I want to see him with his generals saying, "This is the plan. We're going to pull them in. Then we're going to hit them with the cavalry. Then we're going to do that." There must have been a discussion like that. That happens in any military conflict. I don't think his ego was so big that he didn't talk to. And one of the reasons that his tactics for Waterloo failed was because I think he had like 40,000 or 50,000 men that went off with a different guy to delay the Prussians, but where they went, the Prussians had moved from, and these guys were kind of wasted. And that's covered in the Rod Steiger Waterloo, where he keeps saying, "Where is Clichy?" or something like that. This is the guy whose men are missing, who really were. I'm not saying that would have turned the battle or anything, but he was missing like 20% of his force or something.
20% of his already very small force in comparison to who he was fighting against.
Great. Thank you, Darth Plato. I knew this chap. He's very informed. 33,000. Yeah, the Prussians have moved, and Grouchy, that's it. Grouchy. Sounds like a Muppet character, Grouchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and wow, very
Wow.
good.
Get
so
on AI, Stupenzo, for that. Get
Yeah.
Grouchy up on AI.
Yeah, no, obviously, yeah. The guy in the trash can is this character, right?
Yeah.
Sesame Street crossover.
that would be good. So the other thing that Paul told me was Ridley wanted to have either the farmhouse or the battle for Huguemont in the Waterloo battle scene, and Apple said no. And apparently the Waterloo battle scene, I might be wrong, and I'll double check this on Tuesday. I think Paul said it was shot in 5 days.
Damn.
And I mean, that's a short time.
Impressive.
Poor horses.
Well,
Unless
because he
they're
shot
computer animated.
with 10 cameras. So you're going to get a lot of coverage if you plan it right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, Huguemont is a great part of the, it's this strategic location in the middle of the battle where it's part of the British line, and they didn't capture it. The farmhouse, I think, the St. Hay, I think that changed hands about 3 times in the battle. That's covered in Sharp's Waterloo, where Napoleon's got 7.5 men in his army.
So Lance, I got the number. So the reported budget, maybe it could be a bit more, is 200 million for this movie.
It's always more.
Yeah.
Between 130 and 200.
250 probably.
I think the shooting budget was 130, and I think with PR and all
this
of that.
Movie, yeah, unlike
70,
most streaming movies, most
200.
streaming movies are just kind of unleashed upon people. This one actually had a lot of media blitz, like a lot of advertisements.
It's because it's Ridley Scott, it has the name behind it. That's also a big part of it, because you love him or hate him, Ridley Scott still has a name. And now, well, I mean, people nowadays associate Ridley Scott with bad movies in general.
I'm gonna run a hypothetical by you. All right,
aliens. Yeah, sure.
All right. Quentin Tarantino's new movie. Oh wow, produced by Netflix. Oh, it's the same thing with Ridley Scott's new movie, Apple Films. I'm like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, but Apple doesn't have the bad reputation that Netflix has.
Netflix is
that's
worse,
the thing.
but I mean, streaming company movies is basically what I'm getting at. If it's an HBO original documentary, maybe.
Well, it's also the fact that it was released in theaters, that it had a theatrical release. That solidifies itself in the audience's eyes as something that's...
doesn't it come out on streaming in like a week or 2?
I'm not sure, actually. Let me look that up.
Not that. I don't think it's coming out.
Maybe.
Don't think it's coming out this side of Christmas. I could be wrong,
Relatively soon.
but I don't think so. I want to talk about the cinematography now. I know on the whole it was good, and there were a lot of really amazing shots, and this is one of them. But I felt that the photography on Waterloo, especially, for some reason, felt really flat.
It's very dreary weather. It's like dark and gray.
And I got that. I got that they were going for that mood, but even with that, you can either put a bit of a grain on it, or just make some colors pop because there's 20 shades of gray or whatever.
Yeah, I found most of the battle scenes kind of looked changeable.
Well, a lot of them were in darkness. That was the issue. I mean, look at this one. Isn't this the Russian invasion?
Yeah. And by the way, this is a completely inaccurate version of what happened at Austerlitz. There was no camp on the ice. There were no trenches with cannons in.
It's the rule of cool. It's the rule of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
all these bloody horses in the.
I don't mind those kind of changes for dramatic effect. If the film had, look, Braveheart is historical bollocks, but it's engaging.
Oh, yeah, it earns its historical inaccuracies.
Yeah, I can put it on any time of year, watch it, and it's very watchable. And I really enjoy that as a movie. It's got all the elements come together on it. But
yeah. I remember showing Braveheart to an uninterested girlfriend of mine, and I remember by the time they kill his wife, she's like, "Oh my god!" She was like so invested. She was like, "She better kill all those fuckers." God, Braveheart's great.
How long did your relationship last after the Braveheart screening?
Oh, she was like a temporary roommate with benefits. She moved back to New York after half a year. But Ayana, if you're watching this, how you doing? I miss you.
I'm gonna say it ended on the screening of Grease too. All right, so
Lance, I've got some so for the Apple TV release, we don't have a specific date. However, people are speculating that since Killers of the Flower Moon came out 45 days after its theatrical run, they think that Napoleon will also be 45 days after its theatrical run, which will put it in beginning of January.
Right, okay, that sounds about right. Yeah, I don't think it will come out before Christmas because there's too much content scheduled for those dates already.
Mm-hmm.
And January is a bit more of a leaner month. I guess
I should watch Killers.
Hey, Smilex, welcome to the discussion.
Hi, Smilex.
Hello, man.
Do share the love for the stream. Do a little post if you can. This big battle, which by the way they employed something like somebody told me it was nearly 1,000 extras. There's a whole big battle scene missing here that was actually shot because you see that whole line of an army. And then
he shoots the pyramid, and
he falls the pyramid,
and
there was actually a battle, which we don't see.
I did like the mummy scene.
Yes,
that was fun. That was cool.
The mummy. Oh no, yeah, that was a good moment.
That was a cool little scene.
Yeah.
I felt like he was
get up in that mummy's face. Yeah, another pharaoh, like another ruler of the past,
another emperor, basically.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was like, speak to me, tell me your tactics. Am I making any mistakes?
Yeah, saying a lot with no dialogue. I love that kind of stuff.
And even everyone's reactions in the back, you can see that Napoleon is the only person that's basically curious and a bit unfazed by the mummy and its way. Because the rest of them, you can clearly see that they're a bit not grossed out, but a bit fascinated, disgustingly fascinated by the way that the mummy is preserved. Because of course, at that point, mummies aren't common knowledge. You wouldn't know what it actually looks like until you see one up front.
Yeah.
Also, the Napoleon conquests in Egypt. That's why we found the Rosetta Stone. It's how we were able to translate all the hieroglyphs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's cool.
So, Darth, you're asking which battle is missing. The battle for the pyramids would have been the one in 17. He had 4 battles across July and August in 1798. So I'm guessing it was the Battle of the Pyramids, which is the third Battle of Thermidor or something like that. Yeah. So they're definitely. I mean, they shot stuff for it because Paul told me. And a lot of limitations were put on Ridley. Also, he was. Paul Biddis, when he does the interview on Tuesday, is going to be calling us from the set of Gladiator 2.
Awesome. Oh, they're
Uh,
already filming that. Nice.
That they've already done the first principal shoot already completed, and now they're doing the second block. They got shut down because of the actors' strike.
Strike's over.
Oh.
Uninspired. Did you get the memo? Works back.
Well, I
Everyone's
didn't know
back.
that they had. I didn't even know that they had started it before the strikes. No, that
Oh
was-
yeah, they filmed for quite a while in Malta. He's going to be in Malta again. People may have seen this before because I've shown people this before on my other streams about different topics, but I'll show you guys quickly now.
Oh, yeah,
So this is Ridley's favored location for filming in Malta. So Fort Riscoli is on a peninsula. There you go. So if you recognize those walls, you'll remember them from Gladiator. Those are also the walls of Toulon at the beginning of the Napoleon film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when you look at the interior to this place, I'll just go back to Google Maps for a second. This is they've shot a ton of stuff here, and when I went on holiday to Malta, I wrote ahead, and I was actually shown around the studio by the studio head. So I got a complete tour of the place, which was great. But this is where, for example, the March into Rome for Gladiator was filmed. So what they would do is they would build streets and things in here. You can see remains of various sets that haven't been torn down completely. And then you've got this whole sort of road section along here with the high walls behind you and buildings, and then a bit of a harbor where you can film all your harbor scenes and your anything, or a siege of a castle or whatever. I think some of Troy was shot here, if I remember rightly. You guys may not know about the water tanks in Malta, which are very famous. This is all part of the studio. All of this is part of the studio. So these are the two massive water tanks in Malta that have been used to shoot films like Ridley Scott's White Squall, which by the way, I think that's an underrated movie. Cutthroat Island, the big battle scene with the two ships, was shot in this tank right here. And the remains of the two ships are actually sitting over here. Look, these are all ships from other movies. And if you remember Raise the Titanic, which I actually think is a pretty good film, even though it's historical bollocks. There's the model of the Titanic. It's this one here, not the big white thing. That's one of the ships built, I think, for the same movie, one of the modern ones. But this is actually the Titanic. I've actually got a picture of that because
the scales are actually huge. They put in money to build all of these.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they just leave them around. I mean, it could serve as a purpose for other people coming to film in the same set, looking for kind of like a boat graveyard or something like that.
Yeah. Oh no, they've been reused countless times. Obviously all the expensive stuff is stripped off them and things, but but the model of the Titanic was basically just left there to rust, and it's really dilapidated now. But that sequence when they bring it out of the water, when they raise it, I mean, that's amazing model work right there. It's it's incredible. So yeah, this is Ridley Scott's playground basically, and it was great to get a tour around the studio from the person. I mean, I gotta say that I think the screenplay for this feels rushed to me. And I wonder, and I wonder if it was written under the same kind of pressure of Gladiator. I wonder if they went to set with a full screenplay ready to go.
I'm not too sure because I mean, Gladiator back then, was Ridley Scott very, very known at that time? I mean, like very, very known, as in like big. He's allowed to call the shots and do whatever he wants.
See, that's the thing is like Gladiator was the first time that he started getting like those Oscars that he'd coveted like really much. But I mean, the thing is like all of his stuff pre-Gladiator, like Thelma and Louise, Legend, Blade Runner, Alien, that's all A tier. It's all so good. Yeah. And then Gladiator comes around. I remember being in middle school or high school when that came out, being like, and everyone loved it and it won Best Picture. And I was like, really? Like, where was all the love for all of his other
Yeah,
movies?
because
I-
for
I-
me,
I-
go
on.
ahead, Lance. Go ahead.
Well, I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to
Go
say,
ahead.
I think Gladiator is a film that I really like it. I do think it's a good film, but I do think it has some major issues. And I think the
Yeah.
biggest problem with Gladiator is that in the story is that Crow, his character Maximus, reveals who he is far too soon in the film. That should have happened in the final act, and it should have been, oh my God, it's you. You
Also,
know,
what Analyst was talking about last night on Cannoli's stream about how, like, why the hell does the Emperor, like, make these like these assumptions and confidence, like, hey, I'm gonna tell you guys in private, like, I don't love my son, and I don't, he gets betrayed, obviously. So weird.
Uninspired, go ahead. You were gonna add something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like Ridley Scott was pretty known before Gladiator, but I think Gladiators will really put him on the
Mainstream.
how should I say this? Yeah, like the mainstream modern map. Where to
Only
the point
nerds
where,
liked Ridley Scott pre-Gladiator.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
the
It's
normies
like-
started liking him.
it's like Ridley Scott and Gladiator is what made him be able to say, yeah, I'm calling the shots on this
Yeah.
production. You shouldn't be able to say anything to me because, as you were
He got a
saying,
Best
Lance,
Director
before,
Oscar.
Gladiator, he worked under pressure with a
Mm.
with a very like incomplete script, and he managed to make something that won a lot of Oscars. And so at that point, he's just there saying, yeah, I'm him, I'm that dude. You can't say anything to me now. And I think that he's just been riding on that Gladiator high to this day, and people still respect him for that. Well, people still associate him primarily with Gladiator when you talk about him in general.
Right, but
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry,
ahead, Lance.
anyone else chip in?
That means you, Luke.
Well, nothing as well. Not much to
Sorry,
say.
I was asleep
Ridley
up
Scott.
north. What's happening?
Yeah, and I was listening anyway, and Ridley Scott. It was about it was like Gladiator that put him on the map, but I think he still had a bit of respect after Alien. Did he?
Yeah.
He did Blade Runner after. He did The Duelist, which I need to watch because that's really good. But
It is. Don't forget that Blade Runner was a financial flop at the time.
yeah. But then again, the
So-
theatrical version was crap. It had that stupid voiceover where Harrison Ford sounded like he was hosting a game show and not acting. It's but yeah. But I think Blade Runner's only really become great since the director cut came out. And
Controversial comment from me. I don't mind the original cut of Blade Runner. I quite like the gumshoe sort of Marlowe.
Grown to like
I had
it.
a job to do. I had to track down. I kind of
It's
like
just Ford's
that.
delivery.
It
It's
adds
Ford's
to that
delivery.
film noir vibe, though. Cyber noir. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's Ford's,
saying I'm not saying the director's cut's not better. It is, absolutely is. But I don't mind the original cut.
I don't mind the voiceover. It's mostly the happy ending. Flying over
Oh,
the
yeah.
trees and stuff. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, do you have trees in this world? Why are you not living
Yeah,
where the trees are?
I was kind of wondering what was going on there.
The
with
book,
that.
the
But
book
yeah,
is
like-
actually really good as well, though. Do Androids Do Electric Sheep, but it's really radically different, but kind of the same as well.
But before I make my next point, you guys aren't hearing like any hammering, are you?
No. Only from Vex's basement where Henry
Right,
Cavill's trying to escape. But
Girlfriend's
no.
outside hammering, but my mic shouldn't be picking it up. But if it
No,
is,
you're good. You're good.
but yeah, it's like when you listen to like what are like Ridley Scott's movies post Gladiator? They're not like you. There's like
no
pre-Gladiator.
else I can think apart from The Martian.
Oh,
There
did
is
he make he made Matchstick Men? He made Is that one of his? He also did the Alien Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Yeah, but they
which
were
were
crap.
oh my
Well,
God.
let's not go down that rabbit hole,
He
gentlemen.
did other bad ones. What were the other bad ones he did? I'm blanking right now.
Hannibal.
But
He did Hannibal, but I think that was
Hannibal.
before Gladiator, wasn't it?
yeah,
Around about the same
no,
time.
that was
around about the
post
same
Gladiator.
time.
Post Gladiator, 2002 or something, I think.
Yeah, I don't
he did
mind
The
it, but it's
Counselor
not
as well.
It's just not as good. It's just not as good as
Right.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
He
no.
did.
He did Exodus, Gods and
Exodus,
Kings, the one
Gods
with,
and Kings.
Christian
Oh
Bale,
my
right?
God,
If I
you're
remember
right.
correctly.
Is that any good
Completely
though?
forgot about that.
I've not seen it.
He did. He
Oh my
did
God.
Robin Hood.
Oh, that was
yeah,
no,
I didn't
no,
really
was a
think much
no.
to that, to be honest.
Russell Crowe, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna give my penny's worth on the films that he did since Gladiator that I think were really good. Black Hawk Down, which we haven't
Yes.
mentioned.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
forgot. I forgot I directed that.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely in the
fucking good.
minority when I
That
say
is
I
good.
don't like Black Hawk Down, but I've come to terms with like I'm probably wrong about that because everyone seems to love it.
You
But
are.
one of
You
those
are.
guys
Senzo,
that
you're
seems like
definitely
while.
you're definitely wrong about that.
I
I'm
haven't
glad,
liked
I'm
it since
glad
I
you could
first
come
saw
here.
it when it came out as a kid. All my friends were like Black Hawk Down. I was like,
Have you
"Really? That was
rewatched
okay."
it since?
Yeah, once or twice, but I remember just being like, I don't know. It's a little.
I
Wow.
took
Need to rewatch it.
I took 20 people to see that at the Empire Leicester Square for my
I think
birthday, and
my
what a
big
good
problem-
choice.
I think my big
Oh,
problem with Black
nice.
Hawk Down is the traffic and Saving Private Ryan. I want to do like a big video essay about how those two movies, like, inspired so many filmmakers in the early 2000s to copy the look of those two movies.
Yeah,
Traffic and Saving Private Ryan. Like everyone was doing one of those things. It was annoying.
yeah,
And
the
Gladiator-
saturated.
Saturated color and high sped film to get that real choppy look.
Let me
Gladiator
mention
did
a
a lot
couple
of
of
that.
other movies
Yeah.
here that I think are good. A Good Year might not be everybody's type of film, but I think it's a solid movie. It's not your typical Ridley Scott. I think American Gangster was very good.
I liked
I
it.
enjoyed it.
Oh yeah,
Body
that was
of
actually good.
Lies is a solid
wow.
film. It's not an amazing film, but it's a solid film, I think.
I'm
Fun
forgetting
fact,
he
Lance.
directed a lot of these films. I'm really forgetting he's directed a lot of these films. Some of them
Yeah.
are actually
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
and it's
decent.
like
Oh.
fun fact, Lance. Body of Lies is actually the first movie I ever saw on screen, well, on a proper cinema screen, because
Wow.
that was 2008 when the cinema first opened where I lived, so in Ghana, and
Yeah.
I didn't watch the movie because I was still a little kid at the time. But I remember walking into the cinema hall, and the movie that they were playing was Body of Lies, and that was the first movie I had ever seen on an actual big screen. So,
That's cool because you always remember the first one, and considering you were only 6 years old at the time, I'm
Oh, yeah.
amazed that you can still remember the title.
I know
But,
people really talk about how the Kingdom of Heaven director's cut
Director's
is
cut.
pretty solid.
Yeah, I've been hearing it's good.
Improvement.
That's interesting that Ridley Scott actually directed a couple of shorts, one
Yeah.
of which was for Turkish Airlines, which was called
Really?
The Journey. That's the same title as my film, Ridley.
Yeah,
Stop copying me.
I
Son of
smell a
bitch.
lawsuit.
yeah,
Well, there's about 20 other films with that title, and I wish I'd known that when
Yeah.
I chose it. But he also did House of Gucci.
Yeah.
Not a bad movie. Some good performances. Some dodgy Italian hammed up cameos, but on the whole, I quite enjoyed it.
I think-
Last
think
Duel's
it's like-
supposed to be good. I've heard that's a good one.
Yeah,
one?
yeah. I thought that was not a bad film. It's not amazing, but again, it's a solid movie. Then we've got Covenant, Exodus. I haven't seen The
Yeah.
Vatican, which was a TV drama. I haven't seen The Counselor. I haven't
All
seen
the money in the
Thunderworld.
world as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking up the filmography right now because
Yeah, but you got pre-Gladiator, you got G.I. Jane, White Squall, 1492, Thelma and Louise. It's just like, Black Rain. I mean,
Yeah.
it's less movies, Legend, and then Blade Runner. Oh, he did a Roxy music video. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think I've still got the cinema quad for Black Rain. Actually,
I like
Ooh,
Black
nice.
Rain so
Yeah,
much. It's so
yeah.
cheesy.
I mean to watch that. I like,
1492 is an underrated
I
film.
love
It's not-
that song
Yeah.
by Vangelis. It's so good.
that was number 1 in the UK in the charts for a long time.
Yeah, dude. The theme to that is so epic.
all right, so what? Let's not go down too many. We'll do I'll tell you what. We'll do a Ridley Scott
Ridley
stream at
Scott
some
stream.
point.
Sure.
What else do we have? Any sort of final thoughts on Napoleon? And then I want to hear your views out of 10. So, Northern Bastard, as you're the most sleepy, we'll go with you first. What final thoughts and what would you give it out of 10?
A lot of potential wasted. I just hope the 4-hour cut or 5-hour cut is superior and actually does tell a very balanced story and is well done. I really hope so.
That's an interesting look at
That's
that.
if it gets released.
Yeah.
That's a really good behind the scenes shot, because if you look at
Yeah.
that, you can see that's all created in a field. Look,
Yeah,
There's
actually-
a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent behind it. That's
I
that's
know.
a shame.
yeah,
So-
it's
oh.
because that scene was very effective. It was good, but it just, unfortunately, separate amazing set pieces do not for a great film make.
Yep, agreed. And just a question to you guys: did you guys notice any clearly CGI in terms of backdrops? I mean, in terms of
Yeah.
landscapes, except
Yeah.
wait, except for Moscow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some
Really?
dodgy
Yeah.
CG.
Yeah, there was some stuff in Waterloo. Again,
They're
it looked
working
very
those. They're
looked
working
very
those poor
flat.
animators to the bone, man. I tell
Oh,
you,
yeah.
they're stretched so thin.
There was really weird, like there were some shots that had no depth of field. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yep, I
And
agree.
you
Yeah,
could
you
really
just tell.
see that.
I agree.
But okay, no interrupting my rhythm, uninspired. We're still doing the final thoughts question. You can chip in on your and I'm saving the French till last because you know they like coming last in battles and stuff. So Stupenzo, final thoughts and a rating out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, maybe 2 out of 10, but because of some certain aspects like violence and some memorable things and a fresh kind of take from Ridley, like I'll knock it up to a 3 on a good day. Yeah, not great. Basically, is what I'm getting at. Another forgettable Ridley Scott movie, punctuated by a few scenes that I'll probably remember for a while. That seems to be the common thread with Ridley Scott movies nowadays. Like largely forgettable 2-3 hour long movies with like a couple scenes. Like all I remember of Prometheus is Charlize Theron falling under the thing and also the
Instead of
snake
moving
thing.
out the way.
I don't remember any of these parts of these movies, man.
Prometheus for me was visually it looked amazing, but just plot, just
Right.
you know, people playing with a
Nonsense.
penis alien and all of that.
And yeah, like someone said, the Godfather ending was funny. I don't know if that's what they were doing on purpose. Like, you know, doing the Godfather, he's still wearing his silly hat.
Yeah.
You know, talking about arguing with his granddaughters or his daughters, like who burned down Moscow. I did it.
Yeah, James, that is correct. Moscow, they did set Moscow alight. They took all the civilians out. They knew the winter was coming, so they burned it to deprive them of a place of shelter, and all the food stores were set alight that they had to leave behind. Dark Hour is saying uninspired guy is terrible. Kick him off at once.
Just reading that.
Stupenzo is sexy.
Benny.
Jealousy will get you nowhere on this channel, Dark Hour. We all know
Love
that,
you too, Dark Hour.
we all know
blame
uninspired
him.
reviewers
I'm
are sex
Italian.
god. Talking of sex gods, uninspired, it's your turn. So
Oh yeah.
final thoughts on the before we move on.
Yeah, I really do think that as Northern Bastard said, it's wasted potential 100%, and I don't think that a 4-hour cut would be able to help it unless they completely recut or use different takes for specific scenes in particular, because a lot of the
I'm
scenes
inclined
came
to
off
agree.
as
I'm inclined to
a
agree.
lot of them came off as very comedic.
You went with that take? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
like even in the even in terms of dialogue and performance, it was incredible. It was painfully mediocre at times, and as a French person in particular, I can tell you that a lot of my cinema was actually kind of insulted by the portrayal of Napoleon. You could hear the murmurs after
Sacre
everyone
bleu!
was leaving the theater.
Even the Bill and Ted portrayal of Napoleon was more dignified when he's going down the fucking slide.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell you could tell that some people were quite pissed off, mostly because of the way that he was portrayed. But me
Yeah.
personally, it was just an enjoyable film that I probably will not watch again. If I was watching it at home, I probably would have turned it off. But since I paid my money to go watch it at the cinema, I couldn't leave because that's just a matter of principle for me. And, yeah.
Yeah, okay. My summary of the film is this: I was rooting for Ridley on this one because he's not a young guy, and you know he is a director that deserves to go out on a massive high and have a massive hit that everybody goes, okay, yeah, you know that's Ridley Scott at his best. And I really thought this was, you know, when I first heard about it, I was quite excited. I thought Joaquin a good casting choice. You know, it's difficult to tell what went wrong, but from what Paul has told me, I don't think that Ridley had the control over this movie that he would have liked. The shooting schedule was definitely rushed. 62 days to do a film of this scale is not a lot of shooting time.
Mm-hmm.
And You know, and I don't know if that's like 62 days, including the days off or not including the days off. I don't know if that's 62 shooting days. Because you know, you can only march your cast and crew for 5 days straight without them needing a break. I'll tell you that now as a director. It's usually people work for 5 days, 2 days off, but it all depends on how many units you've got and so on. There were a few things in the film that really annoyed me that I expected to see that weren't there. If I picked two completely fictional historical films that were super inventive with their battle scenes, I'm gonna pick two examples. One is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The camera following the arrow, the camera following those fireballs in the attack on Robin's camp and stuff like that. They made the battles of that time interesting to watch. They made them cinematic. Mel Gibson did the same thing with Braveheart and Patriot. You had that scene where you followed the cannonballs in the first battle in the Patriot, and they bounce off the floor like they do in real life. And then you had that shot where you saw a whole load of guys' legs getting taken out. Do you remember that in the Patriot? Because that's what cannonballs do. Here we got, you know, endless explosions and stuff like that. Yes, there was a bit of gore at the beginning with people getting killed in Paris and the horse getting shot. After that, there wasn't one bit that I went, oh, I expected to see, you know, kind of Braveheart stuff in that minutia cut into the battle scenes of a few extras or key stunt guys really going at it, you know, seeing the reality of this kind of fighting up close, or seeing the reality of the line fire, like, you know, with a few exploding chests and all of that. We didn't got that. We just got lots of mass extras on the fighting. Kind of became like the A-Team, where they didn't want to show the violence, but you know, there's lots of gunfire. And I was annoyed about that. I think that we might get if we get a more adult version of everything, which again, it might have been Apple's decision to cut a lot of those shots. I feel those shots were probably there, but they're missing. We need more stuff about what made him a great general. Where's the charisma? We need to see the charisma. I think there needs to be a speech at some point. Maybe that, you know, it's the speech before Waterloo where he says everything rests on this battle, and because he sent in the old guard last. That was his last card. That's not really. We don't really see that in the battle. There's it's just like two lines attacking each other, and then let's flank them with the cavalry at one point, and that's kind of it. And the Waterloo was way more involved and complex than that. And I know they only had 15 minutes or whatever to show it, but yeah. So for me, I'll probably give it a generous 5.5, because there's a lot about the movie that I will praise.
You are a generous God.
I am being generous because I feel I'm going to give the other version a chance. I want to see it. Look what happened with Kingdom of Heaven. It totally changed the film. The big problem for me is the tone of the performances just didn't seem to fit, and I'm worried. I don't think that an extended cut can cut that. But if we get an extra hour and a half of battles and strategy meetings, I'm there. So
it's an hour and a half of jackhammer scene.
Yeah, basically.
Well,
amazing. That honestly, I would bump it up another star. I'd be like,
yeah, I mean, if you're there for that,
you're crazy. Just for like the idea, the audacity.
2 out of 5 for me. 2 out of 5.
Is there a second version of if you see it, you'll always want it, where she bends over and?
Oh God!
Well, like I said, if it was, if we do the Muppets version of this movie, 10 out of 10. Holy Lord, this movie is amazing. It's a revolutionary.
You know, win an Oscar for sure.
Best Picture. I mean, yeah, first Muppet movie to be nominated for Best Picture. I mean, yeah, let's do it.
I couldn't agree more. I think, you know, that should definitely.
We can dream. Happen. We can all dream.
All right, we're gonna move on to. We've done over an hour on Napoleon. That's probably more than it deserved, really. Because we're not just talking about it.
It's pretty harsh for a 5 out of 10 star movie.
Guys, I want to hear about some other stuff that you've watched this week. It could be a new TV show. It could be an old movie. It could be one of the other films that have come out in the last couple of weeks. I know that me and Northern are going to talk about one TV show or couple that we've been watching, but let me turn to our guests. Uninspired, what else have you seen this week or recently?
Recently, I'm always watching horror movies, and so
Give
I
us
watched
name us one.
Censor from 2021.
Love it.
It's a British indie movie, horror film. It's kind of based back in the era of video nasties and the crackdown that was going on in the UK of
Yep.
all those things. And it follows a
remember it.
woman who does censorship for I don't
Mary
know what the
Whitehouse.
British
Mary Whitehouse. Mary Whitehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
she's kind of become a name for anyone who's into censorship. Like there are a bunch of bloody Mary Whitehouses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
yeah.
and yeah,
those people.
so that's
Go
what
on.
she
Sorry.
is. Yeah, and that's basically how she goes in the movie, and the plot is she's looking for her sister who she may or may not have done something to her when they were both younger in the woods, and
Right.
she just goes down a rabbit hole because one day she gets a DVD a VHS tape to review for censorship by a director, and she thinks she sees her sister, but older, of course, in it, and she just spirals into madness essentially. And it is incredibly well done. It's phenomenally acted. This woman deserved probably a best actress Oscar for her role in this film. It's that good of a performance, and the direction is incredible. Cinematography is incredible. If you're a fan of the video nasties, this is 100% for you.
Mm.
And it just takes casual, how would I say this, casual slasher terror and makes it
Yeah.
truly horrifying.
Yeah.
And it works.
What
It
would
works.
There you go.
What would you give it out of 10 on IMDb?
Oh, easily 8.5.
I have met Richard Glover, the actor in this shot. So
Oh,
yeah, I have met him. And Nia Malga did a terrible drama series on Channel 4 about Colin Stagg, who's this guy who was wrongly persecuted by the police for a crime that he didn't commit. In the meantime, the guy who actually killed this woman, it was you'll remember it, Northern Bastard, the murder of Rachel Nickel on Wimbledon Common was a massive, massive thing. And
Yeah.
it destroyed Stagg's life. And they set up a cop to do a honey trap for him. To basically get him to, she approached him through a Lonely Hearts ad or something, but basically she was an undercover cop, and Niam, this actress plays her in the 4-part show, and she tried to honey trap him into confessing to a murder that he didn't commit. Absolutely, completely unethical way of working, led by this terrible psychologist called Paul Britton, who should be struck off, in my opinion. And what they decided to do, this is woke if there ever was instead of telling the story of Colin, the guy who was done over, who was basically a geek, he was a geeky virgin, never hurt a fly in his life, they decided to tell the story from the policewoman's point of view, but they left out the crucial fact that she was having an affair with her boss, which well, I had somebody who
I've
told me
never
all
heard of
the
that happening ever.
So you say, mention it's walk. Yeah. The incel is the bad guy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's it's like, and they play Stagg as an overly creepy weirdo, and he just was basically just an ordinary kind of slightly dysfunctional but guy,
That
but
does
she
not
is a good
surprise me.
actress. She is a good actress, so doesn't surprise me that she's good in this. I know Claire Perkins, who's on the right here.
no, she was great in it too. She had a little role, but she sold her performance. She was
She's
really good.
she's a really good actress. She did a movie for Mike Lee, and I met her. She auditioned for me around that time, and we spoke not a million moons ago. So yeah, out of 10, what would you give that? Sorry again.
8.5, solid 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah,
All
maybe
right,
on
so
rewatch it could probably bump up to 9 for sure.
that's for those people that like horror. That's Censor. Stupenzo, leaving out your latest Pornhub viewings, what do you have?
Pornography is a sin, Lance. It was Thanksgiving, so I had mother and Uncle Dominic and my girlfriend in town, so we watched some stuff. We put on, Oppenheimer was good. Everyone liked that. I also showed mother Cop Car, Kevin Bacon. She loved that one.
Cop Car.
Yeah, that's from like 2016 or 17, maybe.
Is that the one that's? Is that the one that's like
two kids steal a cop car? That movie rocks. I highly recommend that one. Kevin Bacon's fantastic too as a villain in that one. Also, I keep recommending Scavenger's Reign on deaf ears. Finally, Vex Electronica was finally like, I watched it. Why is no one talking about
We'll
this?
get
I'm like,
around to it.
same.
I will get around to it.
Mate,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
let's
also.
Get into it. Wes,
Mate,
Lord Toxic hated it.
let's talk about it now. You give me 2 recommendations. That's enough. Your sand timer is finished.
Okay.
Well, I just want a couple because we can't. Okay, so this is on Max. Scavenger's Reign. It's
that was a fun little animated show. It's like Miyazaki meets kind of the Martian, stranded on a faraway planet, far away. All this weird alien life, a lot of trippy character designs, concepts, a lot of crazy cool aliens, fun animation. But what's cool is I think even the wokesters would enjoy this show. You got strong gay woman of color lead in the ensemble. It wasn't too didn't matter. It was good. It was a fun story with robots doing cool things, and I don't know. It's just kind of one of those shows you got to just kind of see it to get it.
What would you?
You're gonna say whoa a lot. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10,
Yeah.
9 out of 10. I don't know how this next seasons go. If it falls off a cliff, I'll drop my rating. But this first season, standalone, excellent, and I wouldn't mind seeing a second season. I wouldn't mind if it ended right there.
Is that a close up of a character's zit exploding?
It's like there's weird trees and plant life everywhere. It's a crazy show. And then this guy, fun stuff. I don't want to get too spoilery.
No, don't. But I'm a big
Another
fan of
entire
Studio
season
Ghibli.
out.
Yeah, its first season's totally done. Said and
cool.
done. So I definitely recommend it. Another fun thing that you don't need to look up. We watched as a joke this Hallmark movie called Love at the Thanksgiving Parade. And it was one of those things where put it on as a joke. 50 minutes into it, we're totally watching it, invested into it. It's fun. These Hallmark movies, I got a soft spot for them. But yeah, that was pretty much all we watched this week.
We should do a best and worst of Hallmark film.
I'm thinking not this December, but maybe next December. I'll do something like Schlocktober, where every day is a fucking Hallmark holiday movie. Oh God. I'd have to edit them though. That would be very hard. I'd have to start on it now.
I'm a massive fan of Kevin Bacon. Just to mention Cop Car.
This movie's a tight 90. It's
always good.
I like it when Bacon plays a villain because he has a lot of fun whenever he plays a villain. Has anybody seen the TV series City on the Hill?
No.
Bacon plays a corrupt cop who's sniffing cocaine every other minute. You can tell he's having a lot of fun with that role. And it's 3 seasons. It's a good show. So if you like your kind of gritty cop stuff, I recommend City on a Hill as well. What would you give Cop Car out of 10?
Again, a solid 7 or 8 out of 10, especially for such a good indie film with low budget. And anyone who's seen this movie, all I gotta ask you is, did you look at the trunk? Did you open the trunk? Did you look at the trunk? Did you look at the trunk? Did you look at the trunk? He says that 20 times.
Is it a good beer and pretzels film?
Unlike Napoleon, you can shove popcorn in your face watching this movie. It's good. It's fun. Napoleon is you know how to eat snacks watching this movie.
Napoleon, you're sucking on a really extra strong mint for the entire
stick of gum. A stick of gum is 2 sticks of gum for the whole movie. There's your Napoleon snack.
Bastard, shall we recommend Boat Story to our fellow guests?
Yes, that was very surprising. From the BBC, doing quality comedy drama for once.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's quite sort of the basic premise to Boat Story. It's a 6-part. I think each part is 40, 45 minutes. The premise to the movie is 2 strangers meet on a beach. They see a marooned boat. They go and investigate the boat. There are 2 dead bodies in it, a policeman and a trawlerman. There's a section of the boat that is broken open, and it contains these black parcels that are full of sherbet, like Dib Dab, So they decide that if they can sell it, they're going to make a lot of money. Chaos ensues. Bad guys come looking for them. But it's got a real sort of Tarantino-esque kind of vibe. Is that fair?
Yeah, you've honestly sold me on this already, just from the synopsis alone.
Well, it came to my attention because my buddy Craig Fairbrass is in it. There's a still of him here. Let's get him. And he always plays heavies, gangsters, this kind of thing.
Mhm.
By the way, I don't know if I should say, but he had a phone call with Kathleen Kennedy at one point over a role in a movie, and Craig, and the line was really bad, and he was like, "Can you send me the script?" I won't tell you what she said after that, but she was not very nice to him. So I don't think
Shocked, I tell you.
When it's not a surprise. She comes
The
across as a
lizard
very
woman
good
isn't
woman.
nice to people. Oh my god.
there's nothing wrong with an actor wanting to read a script for a part they're potentially going to play. You know, I mean, what's the problem?
Bad management as well, because how's he going to know what he's got to do if he's not got a script?
Well, just because they wanted him to take the part there and then, and he just hadn't seen the script. He didn't know anything about it. He just wanted to see it. He wanted to know what the part was, and
Yeah.
I know, I don't blame him.
it was supposed to be enough that it was a big movie franchise. I'm not going to say which one.
The guy on the right sitting down, right? The guy in the police outfit. Or
Yeah.
is he okay? Okay.
No, he's sitting down. He's not a miniature.
I was like, whoa.
For some reason, the guy on the top right looks like Rodney from Only Fools and Horses, which only Northern Bastard would be able to appreciate.
Yeah, but he's on the new Frasier, the actor who plays him, Nicholas Lyndhurst. He's on there. He's like the British guy, isn't he? And yeah. Good on him though.
Boat Story's good. It's engaging. It's fun. Not to be taken too seriously. I guess I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10 to an 8.
Nice.
Northern.
I'll give it 3.5 for now because I've still got one more episode to go. But yeah,
Okay.
The characters really do become more developed as it goes on. I mean, even the villains that come across a little cliched start to become more fleshed out.
Is it better than Napoleon?
No, miles better. It's
I was more engaged.
It is better. It is better.
I was more engaged. It's got better action scenes with only 6 people in. So I was more engaged. I'm sorry to say.
Right.
It's good. I really like Daisy Haggard, the actress on the right. She's very
always
good.
funny. She's always funny. She was on that. What was it? Psychoville. Uncle as well. She's really underrated.
Yeah. No, I agree. Great stuff. Let's talk about the other show that me and Northern have been watching.
Yeah, very heavy. Very heavy.
It is very heavy, but I this is exactly the sort of drama that I want to talk about on this channel. This is exactly the sort of stuff that I personally wanted to make. I've done a lot of plays on stage of this kind of thing. So I do a lot of true story dramas. The last play I just did. This is Estonia. Why it's got let's just up that. I'm going to give it a 9 right now. So for those people that don't know, the Estonia, which was a travel, what do you call it?
A ferry.
Ferry, thank you. Was the word I was looking for. Was a ferry ship that was kind of like the pride of the country of Estonia because it was the first ferry that was it was theirs, and it was quite a new modern vessel with a couple of different bars and a nightclub and a cinema. It even had a swimming pool and all kinds of stuff. And it undertook a journey to Sweden, I believe, was the final destination from Estonia. I think it was in 1993. 94, and it sank in high seas. There's lots of different theories as to why it sank, but it sank in 30 minutes. And if you imagine that most of the passengers had gone to bed at this point,
1,000 passengers.
There were 1,000 passengers on board. Only about 150 of them survived. It's the biggest maritime disaster since the Titanic. And a lot of the passengers were in the accommodation decks were right at the bottom, underneath the cargo deck. So if you think about, the ship is turning over and you've got to get out of your cabin while it's turning over, get to the end of the corridor, get up the stairs to the top deck to get out.
This takes place in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it happened in 94, yeah.
Yeah, the true events happened in 94, but this is a modern 8-part drama. It's a co-production between a number of different companies, including Finland, in Sweden. For me, it's as good as the Chernobyl show, I think. It is
How many episodes is it?
8.
8?
8.
Eight.
Stupenzo, I agree with
Oh,
everything
going as
Lance
well.
said. Lance told me to watch the first 2 episodes, and I watched them literally just before the stream. And I swear to God, if we weren't streaming, I would have binged everything.
Wow.
It is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Me and the lady will check it
Fantastic.
out this week. We'll check out.
I've tracked down one of the directors on Facebook. I'm going to message him. I'm going to see if I can get him to come on.
Nice.
But
Crazy.
I mean,
So,
it's got
the ship
some
sinks in 30 minutes. It's 8
Yeah.
episodes. Does the ship sink around episode 4 or 5?
No. It's there's 2 timelines. There's the timeline of the night seen from multiple
non-sequential storytelling. I see.
Yeah, and then you've got the timeline of the investigation working forward. And I mean, not only is the multi-facets of the sinking dreadfully, sort of horrifically fascinating, but also the competing agendas of the different investigations and the people within those investigations, and people trying to segue blame away from themselves, and all the stuff that went on afterwards is an utter disgrace when you think about how many people died. There's also there's evidence that suggests that the ship may, don't forget this was Cold War was still a big thing. There's evidence to suggest they may have struck a Russian submarine, and which tore the front of the ship off. That's one of the theories, because basically the bow, which lifts up to let the cars out, that broke off. So you imagine all the water came in the front, and then
listed over, and then that's it.
And the crew were really slow to react, and I mean the stories of how people escaped and managed to survive are nothing short of miraculous. And then don't forget, once you're off the boat, you then got to survive in that water, freezing cold.
They said it was minus 11 degrees Celsius.
And then most of them are in their underwear as well, so that's
It's like the big risk of like being on the waters in those northern seas,
I mean,
being on the water anyways.
Yeah, but tropical water, it's like whatever. I could just
you got sharks in the
indefinitely.
tropical water.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, the chances are a lot less than freezing to death. You'll definitely freeze to death in cold water.
Yeah,
whenever
I've pushing you as well.
Whenever I've gone on a boat, I've always made a note of like, where are the life jackets? Where are those inflatable pod things? Right, how am I going to get from where I'm sitting out to deck? And because I did a play about the Marchioness, which was a river time disaster on the River Thames, where a party boat got smashed into by a dredger. They turned the boat upside down. There was 131 people on it, 3 decks, and all the people on the lower deck, except for 2, they all drowned, and a whole lot of other people died, and some of them were swept away in the Thames and died in the river. And so again, anytime I go on a boat, I'm always like, right, okay, let me do my little safety check. It's a bit like when you're on a plane, which is the nearest door. How can I get out if I'm in a Tom Hanks scenario? Where are we going? I
don't do well on planes. I tense up and get all weird. They give me free drinks sometimes. They're like, here, drink this. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't have any money. It's like, just drink this, please.
Always carry a sharpened pencil for taking out any potential terrorists. That's
shoulders at ear
seriously
level.
on 9/11. Like me and a friend, we traveled to Disney World, Florida. I think it was about a year after 9/11 or something. And we had this whole conversation about, okay, something happens on the plane. What are we going to do? We're going to try and take them out right at the beginning, right? Yeah. Okay. So we had this whole conversation about what we would do. It's nuts what goes through your head, but we actually did have that conversation. So just goes to show the impact of these things on your psyche.
The male urge to save everyone.
Fantasize. I was thinking about that at the department store. If like a shooter came in here, what would I do? I'd make Megan take cover over there. I'd hide behind the drink machine.
Dude, I think men think about that all the time randomly. I think
terrorize this.
Let me just go to some of the comments in chat. We've been ignoring your chat for a little bit there. I do apologize. I haven't got enough moderators here to prod me and tell me things. So Smilex saying Cop Car is good fun. I'm not sure this is about the same movie. There's a lot of gloopy tentacle stuff. That might be about the horror film. I
think it's
mentioned.
Scavenger's Reign.
Yeah, absolutely. Best film David Macy's seen recently is Cocaine Bear. I did enjoy that film. That was a lot of fun.
I still haven't
I've
seen that
seen
one.
it. I need to watch it because it looks
Same.
fucking bonkers.
That's cute.
Recommendation from Desert Phoenix, good friend of mine, ex-veteran. Thank you for your service. Good recommendation from him is A Night on Earth. I have seen that. I quite enjoyed that. David Macy, Craig is a proper actor and he's dead hard. He's a good actor. If you want to see him in a really terrifying role, watch a film called Muscle. Man, that'll freak you out. Lord Toxic, the more I hear about this, the more I'm glad I watched Thanksgiving instead of going to the theater last week.
Oh, he's talking about Napoleon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Darth Plato thinks David Macy was the worst maritime disaster since Titanic. Dude, come on now. Don't be mean to people in the chat, please. Smilex, I made a freight trip from Rotterdam to the UK. We had an epic storm as we crossed the night lightning waves. I stood on the deck and yelled at Poseidon. That sounds like pretty cinematic. Do you know what? We did a school trip to France for a week and we came back from Cherbourg on a ferry, and that's an 8-hour ferry from Cherbourg to the UK. And we were in a really rough seas. And this was in the 1980s. And I remember that absolutely everybody on our coach, it was about 60 kids or something, everybody got seasick. And my friend Amar, he threw up all down his trousers, right, really badly. So for the rest of the trip, he took his trousers off. And do you remember those really big duffel coats we used to wear as kids? And you could turn the hood into a periscope and add like the furry thing around. Parkers. Yeah, like a winter. He had a winter Parker on.
Kenny's
so he
coat.
kind of wore that and pulled it right down to cover the fact that he was walking around in his underpants. But yeah, man, I mean, like if you went into the toilets, they were all clogged. The smell, there was puke everywhere.
Yeah,
it was.
I mean, at least it's not worse than the poop cruise. That's probably the worst situation ever. I don't know if you guys have heard that one.
No,
that was
enlighten me, please.
That's the thing where everyone got food poisoning, right?
Well, basically the
which one?
The toilets, the toilets stopped working, and they told people to pee in the bathtubs because nothing was flushing, and it stopped working for about I think 3 or 4 days. So since there's nothing flushing, they were literally distributing bags, and the smell got so bad to the point where everyone was moving their mattresses on the deck to actually sleep on the deck.
Oh my god!
It was the poop cruise from hell. You can look that up. There are tons of videos covering that.
That should so be a feature film starring Chevy Chase. That could be like National Lampoon's Cruise Vacation.
Yeah,
take that basic plot. Hey Rusty, take this bag. You know, that kind of thing. Vex Electronica, she can't handle how hot this panel is. Sorry, I got that back to front. I mean,
girl.
Yeah, and two of them aren't even on camera, and they're still hot.
Oh,
so Mark Wahlberg, I'm not sure. Are you talking about Event Horizon? The not Event Horizon.
Deepwater Horizon, wasn't it?
Deepwater Horizon.
Deepwater Horizon. Yeah, the one on the oil rig.
That's a pretty good movie. I quite like director Peter Berg. He's a safe director, but he does does really good films, and I really liked his football movie Friday Night Lights that was made into the TV show.
His show Ballers is good.
Yeah, so he's done some good stuff. We need to get him on. I'm sure he'll come on eventually. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So Estonia is difficult to get hold of at the minute, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go on one of the major
streaming
platforms pretty soon. But yeah, I can't recommend it more highly. It's not a date TV situation. Have some hankies ready, and
it's very, very well produced. I will say visually, it is incredible. It looks like it had a proper budget, and people behind it knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah,
there is almost zero moments where you think this is fake. It is really, really well made.
It looks like a documentary a little bit as well. That's what I love about it, the way it's shot, and the actors just play it so naturally as well. They don't look like actors acting either.
Yes,
they feel like
100%. They all have very scruffy hair. You can tell that they just woke up in the middle of the night and it's an actual crisis that they're going through, so they don't have time to look good. It's
No,
really, really good. Really,
actually,
really good.
let's just put up a couple of stills. I want to give out some shout outs. Peretti Svelholm, who I believe is a Swedish actor who plays one of the main investigators. He gets very emotionally invested, and this is a true story, right? The countries were so concerned about how the report was going to show how the disaster happened, they wouldn't pay for the right tests to see if the bolts would have sheared off on their own, so the bow visor would have come off. So this guy, out of his own pocket, paid for replica bolts that he bought off a decommissioned ship that had a similar design, so they could do a bolts pressure test. And he had to pay for them himself, and they did the test, which was difficult to simulate the exact same conditions, but the bolts split in half, like, pretty soon, like after doing the test for about 30 seconds. So they weren't able to withstand huge amounts of wear and tear. This is one of the scenes. I'll tell you what, Poseidon ain't got nothing on this. The scenes where the ship is tipping, and you can tell that they've done a Das Boot situation where they've got sets that are actually turning.
Yep.
Oh man, this whole sequence, which I think is in episode 5, is heartbreaking. This is one of the few crew who actually survives, who kind of has a breakdown in his interview. But there's also a scene where you see the outside of the ship and the people are on the outside tipping over, and that's a massive set that they've built for that. They've built like half the upper deck, and it must be in a huge water tank. I'd love to know where that was filmed. My God, looks like me playing an extra in the background with a camera there. Look, that guy might be a relative.
This character was kind of cool. Yeah, this character was kind of cool.
I still have my hair. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but this character is kind of cool. I mean, because he sees all the investigation is going. He's like, what, fuck this shit. This is reprehensible. I can't be part of it.
Yeah, basically the investigation is they have people from Estonia, they have people from Finland who
Sweden as well
sold the ship to Estonia.
Germany as well.
Germany designed the ship, and then Sweden, of course, had loads of passengers on board. And the guy from Estonia realizes that everybody, because Estonia owned the ship, that everybody from the other countries is trying to lay blame on the crew, and they're not really fully investigating the other possible causes. And the scene that Bastard's referring to is he just gets up and says, no, I can't do this any longer. You're not interested. All you're interested in is blaming people from my country. You're not interested in investigating or looking anything else. I'm done. And he walks out. And that really happened. So because I've been doing my research on this. There's a very good 5-part documentary on the sinking of the Estonia as well, which I also highly recommend, that advances a lot of theories. They did a deep dive to the wreck, found that there was a massive hole in the side of the wreck as well, which I don't think happened subsequently. So a lot of competing
submarine tinfoil hat stuff. Is that what you're?
Difficult to know. There was military equipment on board the ship, because right before the ship went out, 2 guys from the army turned up and loaded a whole load of military trucks onto the vessel. So one theory is that something, because everybody heard a massive bang from the car deck, and there were two big bangs. So sounds to me like something struck the ship and then something fell off the ship. But I'm waiting to see the final episode.
Lance, in terms of final episodes, do you know? Have they been doing it a weekly release? Because
it drops late every Monday.
Oh, okay. So next episode will be next week, and then that'll be the end.
I mistimed this. I actually thought we would have seen it all by now, but I mistimed it by 1 week because I was hoping to. But we'll talk about the final episode again. If I've got one criticism about it, I'm not a big fan of the Chris Nolan let me do multiple timelines and keep jumping back and forth. But I think for this show, it works, because I think if the whole of the first episode would have just been about the sinking of
Oh.
the vessel, the whole show would have just got bogged down in the political minutiae. It's good that it jumps back and forth and shows you different things as they're kind of revealed in the present.
I think that's become like a staple of the how would I say this, the Chernobyl-esque
Yeah.
type of things, because there's also one that wasn't very talked about the nuclear oh man, I keep forgetting it. Was it Fukushima? Yeah,
Fukushima.
the 6
Mate,
days, I think it was
that
called.
show is awesome. That show is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a really great show on Netflix. No one talked about it basically,
Yeah.
but it's really good too. It's called six days, I think, if I remember
Well,
correctly.
I normally go to wrap up around 2 hours. We've still got 15 minutes. So, dude, let's talk about it now.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it now.
One
Yeah, I
thing.
think
Can I mention one thing about?
really good.
Can I? Oh, sorry. Can I mention one thing about Estonia? I don't think.
Yeah,
we touched
please.
on, is,
Sorry, Norman.
is that I like how it's proper close-ups when it gets to the ship with the crew and the passengers trying to be rescued. It's like you can't make anything out, which is probably what they were feeling as well, because it was so hectic.
Very claustrophobic.
Yeah, and you got the rain distorting everyone's view and all, and it's dark. It's really makes you feel like you're underneath the chaos as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's called The Days, not 6 days. The
The
Days.
Days. Yeah, 6
The
days
Days.
is the one about the SAS raid, which
Yes,
I
I
that's a
remember
good
that one
movie,
too.
incidentally. But
It is a good movie too. Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
we'll talk about that another time. Funnily enough, I have watched The Days, so I watched it pretty recently. So let's talk about it. Me and Uninspired, the only two people who've seen it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it to everyone actually. I think it's one of Netflix's. It's basically Netflix's Chernobyl. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Because it is incredible. Really good production design too. The drama is there, the tension is there from episode 1, and it does not let you go. Even in the how would I say this? The slower scenes where they're just talking about how how everything happened, why there was the meltdown, why weren't people evacuated fast enough, all of that is completely gripping.
It's really good because you get the initial earthquake, and then suddenly the cooling towers are rupturing and everything, and obviously there's CGI when you then get a tsunami, don't you, that hits the station effectively, like a mini tsunami caused by the earthquake. That whole sequence is extremely well done. And the Japanese have a very dedicated work ethic. Their whole approach to work is completely different from the West, and you only need to see that Michael Keaton film for a historical documentary about that.
Haven't you seen their cartoons, for crying out loud? It's insane.
Yeah, these personnel, it's their dedication and the fact that isn't there 2 of them that go back into the underneath of the station, a bit like the guys in Chernobyl.
There's more than 2 actually. I think they decide, and it's not even the people that are necessarily equipped to do so. They just decide. I think there were 3 or 4 to go at first to see which specific reactors were actually available. Well, the ones that were still on, because you had to go and manually check the reactor, but the problem is that the closer you get to it, especially if it's approaching meltdown, well, the more radiation that you accumulate in your body. So it is really, really intense. You can tell that these people were there 100%. I'm really sad actually that this didn't get as much buzz. Maybe it's because Netflix didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's because Netflix didn't promote it as much or something.
promote
But
anything.
I was actually waiting for this one because I always check the coming soon section on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I always check that, and when something drops, most of the time I try and watch it on day one. So I watched this day one with my dad. I told him, hey, there's The Days that's coming out. I know you like Chernobyl. This is in the same vein. Let's watch it together. And yeah, we binged it in an entire day. It was really, really good. Acting is also phenomenal.
It's definitely a bingeable show for sure.
Is it in Japanese?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
But you can you know, you could, as with all Netflix shows, if you want, you can put the subs on. Hey, guy, we've got to get to the nuclear reactor now. Yeah. So if you want that version, you can.
No, I was just
add
saying
that.
I don't like the movie like Memoirs of a Geisha, for instance, where they're all like speaking English with bad accents. It's like, wow, just
No.
speak
This
in
is
natural dialects. It's so much better.
it's a proper, and it hasn't
Cool.
got any of some Japanese stuff has kind of like quite surreal.
Estonia is also
sequences
foreign
and
language,
drama.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Good. I
yeah,
think it's in-
Estonia. Yeah,
Is
Love
it in Finnish? I'm not too
Estonia is
sure.
in Swedish, Finnish, and English, and I think German as well. There's, you know, everybody's speaking their own language,
Yep.
and that's actually part of the drama in one of the scenes where they have a translator, but they're never translating everything quite accurately. It's slightly different, and that causes problems. That's brought up. So that's another strong recommendation from us. Okay, well, I think we're heading into the wrap up where my lovely guests are going to get to plug the various things. But before we get on to that, myself and Uninspired reviewer have a special announcement about a special full-length comedy review that we're going to be doing shortly on the channel. We are going to be reviewing, in honor of recent films, Martin Weir's version of Napoleon. We'll be talking
Oh,
about
yes.
the film at length,
Oh.
including all of the
Nice.
casting choices.
I love that film.
And when we're not talking about reviewing Get Shorty. We're going to review Martin
Aw.
Weir's Napoleon.
Great.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really funny stream. No, we're not getting married, Smilex. That's next week. I told you already. And
Yeah,
No,
we
you-
have to. We need more time to plan the wedding, Smilex. I'm
yeah,
telling
man. Especially if we're going to fit you in the room. So, but no, we're going to be reviewing. We're going to be reviewing this film, and we're going to be breaking down the entire cast list, all the scenes, battles,
Mhm.
everything.
Yep.
It's going to be
All
comedy gold. So,
Banished but not forgotten, Martin Weir is Napoleon.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
feel
Not as
like
good
we-
as when he played. Not as good as when he played that crippled gay guy who climbed out the window. That's the line. If that's the line I'm quoting correctly, anyway.
I
fucking
think
hell.
that is a line.
Directed by
that's
Barry
a funny line.
Sonnenfeld.
I've got to do a special stream about Get Shorty. That's such a good.
The book is
movie.
brilliant as well. And anything from Elmore Leonard has been fucking great. I love that author. He's done some
Did
good
anyone
stuff.
watch the TV series with the Irish actor in it? I was kind of on the fence about it. It
I
had some
saw it
good things.
advertised.
TV
I saw it
series.
advertised, but I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was going to be the same thing. I don't know if it was just in name only.
Yeah. Well, one question that I'll take a couple of questions from the chat. If anyone's got any, throw them at us now. But Darth Plato, let's talk about Napoleon again. I'm still shaking. You're shaking because we talked about it. So I think David was asking, what are we looking forward to in 2024? Stupenzo, one
Ooh.
choice only.
Okay, 2024. Geez, I mean, I guess freaking Dune Part 2. I hate to say it again, but yeah, damn it.
Yeah, I am also that's definitely like that's the movie I know I'm going to see on the big screen.
I still haven't seen part 1.
Well,
Yeah, it's like a lot of people
it's
like you
pretty
were
solid.
waiting. Smart.
there'll be some double bills of it when the second one comes out. Almost certainly, there's bound to
I
be.
know that it was a massive thing in France. I mean, it was everywhere on TV. It was even on the news here. How
Right.
big Dune was. I don't know. It was a complete phenomenon when it came out in France specifically. I don't know if it was like that in the UK or in America, but here it was like
it
wow.
had I think it had the world premiere in UK. I was there. Actually, sorry, I think it premiered first at the Venice Film Festival, I think, and then there was the UK premiere. I've got photos of it, but I met Aquaman. Got my picture taken with him. He was very lovely, very patient, and because my camera kept not working properly, and I kept taking pictures, and he was out of focus. I was like, "Do you mind if we do another one?" But the really weird thing was when I was sitting watching the movie, he was 3 rows in front of me. My friend Sharon, who plays Dr. Kynes, who very graciously took me along. She was sitting in the seat in front of me. The guy who played Peter and his wife were sitting right behind me, literally in the seats right behind me. And then like Zendaya was over there. So I spent half the film watching their reactions to it because it was the first time they were sitting through and watching the film properly. It's quite an unusual experience to be watching a movie on that scale with the cast. And I got to talk to Denis Villeneuve. Is this your stand-in, Northern?
Yeah. Just had to move the laptop away, so yeah, I can probably get a better view of me and better scenery as well.
I'm sure it says in your contract that anyone called Northern Bastard has to have a big beard.
He's got the soccer hooligan look going on right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, put some balding. So yeah, you gotta shave it off. Once you start balding, lose it. Just lose it. Just accept it,
mate.
Look how crystal blue your eyes are. My God.
Yeah, you sound like my wife.
Sure, your wife loves them. Yeah.
Jason Momoa was huge, but that's a story for another time. So June 2. Okay, Northern Bastard. What are you looking forward to in 2024?
There is a few. I don't know if it's completed yet. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare with Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, and it's going to be directed by Guy Ritchie. So
yeah. I saw the announcement about that going into production. That could be good.
I know. There is another film, but he said one. So yeah, I'll do there.
Yeah, okay. And Uninspired. Napoleon 2, obviously, but apart from that.
For me, it's a very, very easy choice. I'm waiting for, plus today it got a proper release date. So December 25th, 2024, I'm going to be watching Nosferatu by Robert Eggers.
Yeah, that's another choice of mine.
Ooh, so that's a reimagining of the 1922 film,
the original Nosferatu. Yep, he's doing it with I think it's Bill Skarsgård. I always confuse all the Skarsgård siblings.
Yeah, one of the guys. The guy who played it, I'm sure.
William Dafoe is listed. He's the professor.
I thought it would have been funny if he played Nosferatu again, but no, he didn't.
Okay, yeah. So good cast lineup. We've got
fantastic cast.
Yeah, we've got Nicholas Hoult, an actor I do really like. Ralph Ineson, great British character actor. Bill Skarsgård, as you say, he's very good. Lily Rose Depp. So that's Johnny Depp's daughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have I seen her in it? What have we seen her in?
Most recently, she did the huge HBO flop known as The Idol.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Don't watch it.
I missed that one.
It was horrible, but she was in The King with Timothée Chalamet. I don't know if you.
I quite enjoyed that film. That was not a bad movie. That was all right.
Yeah,
she had
a small role. She was the princess in that one.
Right. The Idol. She played Jocelyn. It was a mini series. Is that the one about? I saw a couple of episodes.
The horrible one.
Yeah, I was like, who am I supposed to be rooting for in this show? And I kind of just disengaged. I didn't get there with that. For me, 2024, it's got to be June. In terms of other big movies that are coming out, I don't know. I'm googling now because that just goes to show, doesn't it, how low expectations are.
Argyle looks like it might be good as well with Henry Cavill.
Well, we've got Gladiator 2, written by the same guy who did Napoleon. Don't forget that. Some sort of Madam Web. Yeah, forget that. Not going to watch.
I'm watching Madam. I'm there first day because Sydney Sweeney. I mean, I'll watch anything she's in.
Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. Anyone excited by that?
No.
I hope it's good, but I don't have high hopes.
I mean, I thought the trailer was inventive. At least the story's a little bit different.
It's a global warming allegory, I'm sure. I'm sure it has something to do with the weather. We gotta limit our carbon footprint. That's going to be the message.
Do you guys know if Alien Romulus is coming out next year, or is it?
It's not on this list, but Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. I'm quite keen to see that.
We talked about that last night.
I've not even watched the last one yet.
Inside Out 2, I would absolutely love to see. That's my favorite Pixar movie of the last few they've done.
That was good.
I haven't seen the first one.
I hope Disney doesn't ruin the second one because like they have been doing the last 10 years.
Listen to yourself.
I
Listen
think
to
if they
yourself right
just
now. Listen to what you're saying out loud.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be shit. It's gonna be shit.
I don't know. Let's wait and see. It's got a really good
know.
setup. I was waiting for a sequel because let's see her now in her teenage years with the people in her head also kind of
Oh,
growing a bit older. I think it could be
Oh,
really
no.
good.
I
Could
didn't
be
even
really
think of
good.
that. Oh my god. That's
Oh
gonna be
my
awful.
god, I've got some news for you guys. There's
Argyle. Look up Argyle.
there's
That
more-
looks good as well.
there's more Shyamalan that's gonna be coming to us next year. So there's a movie called The Watchers coming out next year, but it's not Shyamalan making it; it's his child, and he's producing it.
Bring
So,
it on.
More
nepotism.
Shyamalan to the
Hooray.
world.
Did you guys also know that in 2024 we can expect a remake of Twister, the
Oh yes,
tornado?
heard about that.
Twisters. It's gonna be called.
Twisters, yeah.
Twisters,
And it took
A
ages for
requel.
them to.
It's gonna be a requel.
It's a reboot sequel, I think. Yeah.
Helen Hunt
Yeah.
is going to be the old lady with the steak and eggs, giving people, breakfast. That's going to be her job.
Sadly, no Bill Paxton though.
We've
Oh,
got
no.
Borderlands, which is an interesting movie. Get ready for some outer space shenanigans as Eli Roth takes the helm for this adaptation of the popular wacky video game series. Oh, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
Kevin
remember
Hart,
Interesting.
that's playing it into, yeah. I think
That
Kate
could
Blanchett is
be-
also in it. Jamie Lee Curtis as well.
Mm.
Beetlejuice 2 in September.
Ooh.
Could be good.
The first one.
It's
Yeah,
Tim
it's almost-
Burton. It's got all the
First
same
one's great.
cast. It's got all the same cast.
Man, I'm gonna say, ever since the RoboCop reboot, I don't, you can have the best cast in the world. It's like,
What
cool.
RoboCop
The
reboot?
cast is good.
The one with the Sam
It had
Jackson.
Sam Jackson and
Oh,
Gary
yeah.
Oldman. It must be good now. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
this is not good news. 2024 December, so right up there with your proposed planned viewing, uninspired.
Nosferatu,
We
yeah.
have The Karate Kid,
Mm.
new movie, no connection to the TV show. Why not? If you're going
Yeah.
to do a movie, spin off that at least.
Jackie Chan's coming back, right?
Well, Ralph
is
Macchio's
he?
also
God, I
back.
hope not. That'll be shit. Lord of the
It's Jackie
Rings.
Chan and Machio coming back, but it's not tied to Cobra Kai. That makes no sense at all.
This I'm looking forward to. Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim animated. I think that might be good.
It's an anime from Japan, and they're probably going to do a better job than Amazon Prime did.
Yeah.
Rings of Power.
So there's some stuff there that could be interesting. What's the 2-part science fiction thing that's
Rebel
coming out?
Moon.
Rebel Moon. What anyone hyped up for that? What do we think of the
I don't
trailer?
know. Zack
No.
Snyder he's always more of a visual. He's good with visuals, but when it comes to stories, he's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he's
Right.
very lackluster, which is why I still think his best movie was Dawn of the Dead, but he didn't
Yeah.
write that. And
James
if
Gunn.
you really want to experience full Zack Snyder without it being a DC film or something like that, I think Sucker Punch is your best. It will give you
terrible.
your proper vision
Yeah, I
of
saw that
who
picture,
Zack
it's like
Snyder
10
is.
years
You
ago.
know.
Yeah, he does a lot of slow motion, and he's a one camera guy. He films everything like sequentially with one camera. He doesn't do everything's set up like
And
shot
now
for
he
shot,
does
which
his
is
own
like
cinematography, which is
it's
horrible
like his
because
strong.
he
It's
doesn't
like
know
his
how to hold
strength and his
focus.
weakness. His
Yep.
one camera filming method. I don't know.
Oh, guys, just got an all clear cancer test from the clinic. That's a
Oh,
nice,
great.
nice.
Oh, nice
scare.
one.
Awesome.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Yeah, I had a few scares with that lately, so
Oh
that's
yeah.
always,
You've
there you go.
got Godzilla.
Live news as it happens on the Outcast Creative channel. Literally just popped up on my phone as I had a buzz, and I was like, "Who's
God.
texting me now?" That's a bit
You've
of a
got
weird time.
Kung Fu Panda 4 and the new Godzilla movie coming out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Godzilla and Kong, I guess.
I never really
I hope
got into
it's
the
good.
Kung Fu Panda thing. I never.
The first one's
they're
good.
They're good.
I love the first
Love
one.
them. I love the
think
second
they're
one. The
all
second one's
good.
better in my opinion.
I think I hadn't seen the second one enough. The second one was like the evil pelican creature, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Gary
Yeah.
Oldman as well.
And then
It's
the
Gary
third
Oldman.
one is
Can't go wrong.
Does the
Yeah,
evil
third one-
pelican go?
Tiger.
Get
He's a
everyone!
peacock. He's a peacock.
Okay,
He's a peacock.
good
You gotta let it
reference.
fly.
cool.
Do you know
There's
what?
Ryan Gosling's movie, The Fall Guy, as well, which has piqued my interest actually.
Is that a
hope it's
remake
not.
of the TV series? Or
I think it is.
Maybe.
It seems that way.
Really?
Well,
Yeah,
Stuntman who gets involved in a lot of crazy shit in it.
Yeah, it is.
So it's got to be.
Oh yeah,
Right.
okay. It says a film adaptation of the 80s TV show. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think his Liam ages that. I like Ryan Gosling. I like The Nice Guys. I liked him in Blade Runner 2049. He was very good in that. But I don't think he can top Liam ages.
Right.
Yeah. They got the next Joker movie. They got another Deadpool movie allegedly. That's the other thing. Is like, oh, I'm excited for this movie next year, and then it might get delayed. You never know. Like,
Yeah.
who knows anymore?
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
true.
Well, I guess we'll as long as there's not another actors strike, we might get lucky. We'll see what happens.
Stoked for Madam Web.
I ain't bothered. I'll just
Just
watch all the
kidding.
films.
So, guys, time to plug your stuff before we call it a night. Northern, you're on the latest clock. No, hang on, Uninspired. It's later there, isn't it? Aren't you doing another stream, Uninspired, in like an hour or something?
Yeah, in like 50 minutes, probably, give or take. But I'll probably pull an
you always-
all-nighter tonight anyway, so that I can have a proper sleep schedule. Because I don't want to go to sleep at like 5 a.m. to wake up at 11 or 12 and then fuck up my sleep. I'll just stay awake and work or do something.
I understand, man. Have a bit of that Colombian coffee. You should be all right. So, dude, tell us about the stream you're doing tonight. What else you got coming up?
Yeah, in terms of videos and stuff, I don't have anything coming up with a proper date, but I am gonna release 2 videos before the year ends. So one of them is gonna be my top 10 horror movies that you've probably never seen, I hope. And the other one is going to be my Indy 5 analysis / review, because I did a lot of prep work for that when it first came out, and I just don't want it to go to waste. So, and I think that next year will just be it'll just be too late to talk about Indy 5. So just want to get it over with. And if I do have time, I might make a 3rd video before the end of the year, but I really, really doubt. And yeah, after this, in about 50 minutes, so 2 a.m. my side, I guess 1 a.m. British time, I'm going to be on with Jacob Ironside, who was in the chat earlier on his live stream. And we're going to be talking about Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt, which is going to be pretty cool because I watched it just before.
That's a classic oldie.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
And it is a good movie. It is a good movie. All of the old Hitchcock stuff are pretty fantastic.
Yeah, this is actually really old Hitchcock. This is like 40 I think it's like 46 or 43 if I remember correctly. Yeah, 43.
Stupenzo, what you got coming up?
Well, we did a real fun stream last night talking about that Doctor Who special. That was wild.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow I got the riff of Warlock, the Armageddon coming out, which was such a badass movie. It was like hard to make fun of it. And it was like one of the first videos I'd released that got a copyright claim in like almost a month or two. So that's how you know it's a good movie, when they're like, nah, we want this. But I got it past copyright. It's coming out tomorrow around 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And
nice.
Yeah, I was gonna have my Renfield video done, but Meg surprise visited me for Thanksgiving, so I didn't get anything done last week. So it'll come when it happens. It'll happen soon enough. Don't worry about it.
Dude, that's what I say with my old boy video.
Exactly.
I just say it'll happen when it happens.
When I release my Renfield video, then Uninspired is gonna be like, son of a bitch. Now I definitely got to get that old boy video.
Still waiting for that.
Stupenzo, I now understand your neatened appearance as opposed to when I saw you last time. You got your priorities.
When it gets colder and I start wearing more layers, it just happened to look less schlubby. I also need to chop my hair off. I think I'm gonna do a buzz cut like Luke in Solidarity.
Oh, you got a good head full of hair. Cherish
also, in about an hour, I think we're gonna be on Blue Collar Losers channel to do a watch along of Roadhouse in 2 hours. 8 p.m.
Yeah, dude. I wish if I didn't have my lurgy, I would come and join you for that, but that'll be a bit late for me.
I'm legit excited for that movie to watch for the 100th time.
Fun film, and it's got not just Patrick Swayze and Kelly, one of the Kellys. Which Kelly is it? Kelly Lynch, but also Sam, sexy voice. Is in the movie, and I could just listen, man. I could just listen to his voice all day long. Don't read anything into that, but
beef. That's what's for dinner.
Yeah, Northern English Bastard, man. What you got coming up?
Well, apart from the stream of Blue Collar Loser and Stupenzo and Toxic, I've got Batman Returns coming up. I'm going to try and get that done before the end of the week, or before Monday, anyway.
Right. Anything else?
So far, I'm going to try and get down Muppets Christmas Carol, and I don't know what I'm going to
Uh,
do for the third week of Christmas. But I'm trying to keep some Christmas themed reviews for the next few weeks after.
Very good. Now, guys, I definitely want to do one of these on the 19th of December. I know that's quite close to Christmas. It's a Tuesday again,
I'll be free.
but you'd all be welcome to come back. So do let me know if you can make it. The Tuesday before that, I have a friend's Christmas party to attend. So if I do it, it will be later.
Is it at the Nakatomi Plaza?
Yeah, be
It
careful.
is.
If it's in a high-rise
Ooh.
building.
Yeah, it's at the Nakatomi Plaza, West Hampstead. But I might do the stream on Monday the 11th if I want to do one that week. But I'm going to try and keep them at the same time. And of course, next Tuesday, there may well be the Paul Biddis thing, and I might do one after. So, but I'm going to try. It won't be every week, but these will always be on a Tuesday night, starting earliest 10 o'clock UK time, which is 5 p.m. East Coast. Latest
3 quarters of the globe here, right?
Yeah. Latest I'd start it is 11. So it's been great having you all on. I think
Pleasure.
It's great to be on.
any of you on the channel for the first time? I think all of you all been on already. I can't remember.
Oh
now.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I know you
Yeah.
have. Stupenzo's been on once before, I think, and Bastard, you were on the other night. or
Couple
something?
times.
This is my third appearance on yours. I think.
Oh man, you get a special badge for your third
Yeah.
appearance.
I think this is
right.
my third too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, guys. David Macy saying he's looking forward to the Shogun review. I'm gonna do, when I do a deep dive on something. It's an episode called Chew the Fat. I'm gonna do one on Estonia, where we talk about it in more detail when the whole thing's out. I do want to review the new Shogun TV series. I'm going to do a retro review of the old TV series. I've been watching it. It's very campy, but it's quite fun. So yeah, that'll be coming up, and I'm going to be doing a big stream on Masters of the Air in the new year. So anybody who is a big Band of Brothers fan, that's the third show by the same team. If you want in on that, just let me know. I may even do that episode by episode. We'll see. But a big World War II guys, so we're definitely going to be doing that. In the meantime, Stupenzo, you look like you want to break into song. Anything?
No.
Oh, okay. It's just the way you hold the mic, man. It's like you're about to sing.
I like to do that. I hold it like Freddie Mercury, I noticed.
All right. Listen, guys in the chat, you've been fantastic. Good to see a lot of regulars in, but also a couple of new names. Thanks very much for coming. Do share the love for the channel. If you haven't been here before, don't forget to check out the industry interviews list. There's 45 of them. I'm trying to get the one that YouTube banned, which was Peter McDonald, the director of Rambo 3. I interviewed him. I did a 2.5-hour interview with him. We showed lots of clips and they banned it. He was also the second unit director on Bridge Too Far and Zulu Dawn, to name but a few of his 40 credits. I have done some editing on it. Maybe we can get it back up, but if not, I'm going to try and get him on it again. In the meantime, thanks for joining us tonight. Don't forget to tell the people that you care about that you love them, and I will see you all again real soon.
Later, y'all.
Bye bye.
Chat.